Third annual movie review, looking back at the year that was 2024 with the one and only Jonn Ritland. John, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
Man, what a year 2024 has been. What a year 2025 might be. I'm great, Graham. How about you?
I'm doing well. We sat in here in the last 3 years talking about the best, the worst, and the ugly of cinema in 2022, 2023. Now talking 2024, John. And I mean, before we even get into the big releases, and we'll get right into it because we have a lot to talk about, obviously, as we always do.
Yes.
But what was the final? I mean, I already know the answer because I asked you before we hit record here. But what was the final amount of movies that you watched in 2023, and then the final amount of movies that you watched in 2024?
2020 was 138. 2021 was 78. Pandemic, all that.
Yep.
2022 was 200. 2023, 276, and 336 for 2024.
That's just absolutely insane.
And I don't know how I beat the goal, the mark, sometime back in, I think, November. Late October, early November.
Yeah, I remember you told me about it when we were doing hashtag or something. You had said you had just broken the record and there was still like a month and a half to go. And obviously you squeezed in another, 50? I can't, I'm terrible at that. But 50, 60. Yeah, 60 movies. That's crazy. And a lot of these movies... sorry, go ahead, John.
Oh, no, I was saying if I didn't have them on a list, folks, I wouldn't remember like 30... I wouldn't remember more than like 40 things that I've
seen. Yeah. And I think it helps, too, because I've been on it since mid-2023. But when did you join Letterboxd? Because I feel like that's easier for me to track. Obviously, do all your movie reviews. We'll get into your channel, too, obviously. Reborn Again on the Twitter machine, Real Honesty with Jonn Ritland, your entire YouTube channel. You do great stuff. Letterboxd as well, where people can check out your movie reviews. When did you join that site?
That was, God, what was it? We talked very late 2023, and I think maybe a week and a half later. It was sometime either right before or right after my birthday last year. And, yeah, I put, God, let me just take a look at this and see how many movies I've actually reviewed on there. I have reviewed a grand total of 556.
Well, yeah, that's first of all crazy. Second of all, those aren't the movies that you just saw last year, right? Those are just like you just kind of went through like, oh, I saw this a while ago, I'll review it now type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and rewatching and stuff like that because, I mean, it's impossible to despite the lack of social life that I have, folks, I do reach a limit. I probably could have even gotten to 350 movies if I wanted, but A, reviewing wrestling, B, more importantly, working, more importantly, sleeping, and also how many more of these can I stinking watch?
What is the ratio? Because if you go to your Letterboxd, John, it's a lot of 0.5s, a lot of bad movies. You put yourself through a lot of torture. What is the ratio of good to bad movies that you typically watch in an average year, let's say, specifically 2024?
Well, let's just say what you were just saying about the ratings.
Yeah.
Of the 556, 135 have a half a star rating, 62 have a 1 star, and 48 have a 1.5.
Yeah.
And then 60 have 4 stars, 37 have 4.5, and 93 have 5 stars. Yes, folks, I actually do like some things, believe it or not.
That is true. So, I mean, with that being said, when you go off of those ratings, when you give something a 0.5, before we get into these, like we talked about the major releases of 2024, what compels you to give something a 0.5? Is it just the fact that it's egregiously bad or the fact that it's like total throwaway? Like, obviously, some of these movies that we'll talk about, you gave 0.5 or a 1. I mean, a 1 I can understand, but you give a lot of 0.5s. What is like your criteria for some of these ratings?
Pure unadulterated hatred is pretty much what it is. I mean, yes, egregiously bad, sometimes boring, and unnecessary is often what will compel me to go to a 1.5 stars or lower.
Okay.
Because there have been some unnecessary movies this year. Did a video on that, so after you listen to this and some of Graham's other stuff, you can check that out. But it's just, that's really what compels me. And if it's 4 or above, even 3.5 or above, I must really be buying into it. And if it's 5, then I just pretty much believe that it's, something you absolutely need to see. And if you don't end up watching it, then there's something wrong with you. No, I'm kidding. Because some of the stuff I've given 5 stars to, and we'll, as we go through the list, we'll talk about, I guarantee that 99% of the people listening to this haven't even heard of the movie. Because there are some great movies that got some attention and got some stuff on the film festival circuit, and maybe even a little bit of attention from fans that went to the theaters, but some of them didn't get a wide release.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's stuff like, for those that live across the pond that maybe don't understand this, for those that live in this country, certain theater chains, especially the big ones, Regal, Lowe's, AMC, I'm sure there are other ones, do mystery movies occasionally on Mondays.
Yep.
And that's what some of these are, because instead of watching wrestling on Mondays, I decide, you know what, let me go check this out. And it's a mixed bag. It's a pick and mix. Sometimes you pick, and sometimes it's like picking a scab, and it just hurts. But it just, I don't know. It just, that's usually how I rate movies. Okay. How do you rate them, though?
So, I mean, for me, at least on the letterbox scale, I've gone kind of with that criteria for the last probably year or two. I would say for me, like a 0.5 is like among the worst movies I've seen. I think you've reviewed more movies than I have. I think I have like 2.5. I've probably seen plenty of 0.5 movies that just I have etched from my memory, just rid from my mind, But 0.5 to me is just bottom of the barrel, terrible. And then 1 is bad. 1.5 is probably like, okay, it's not good. 2 is like okay. 2.5 is like decent. 3 is good. 3.5 is very good. 4 is great. 5 is excellent. Or 4.5, I'm sorry, is excellent. And then 5 would be like, I mean, there's plenty of, if you go to mine, there's plenty of 5-star movies that are like, this is like a fucking 2 or 3. But for me, it's like a favorite movie. So for me, it's like a classic. But I mean, I guess that's another question I have for you too, John, as far as like, when you give a movie a 5, is it either, because there's some movies like, it didn't come out this year, so we won't talk about this one specifically. I think we talked about it last year because I think you had seen it, I didn't. But Poor Things, did that come out in 2023? Not this year, in 2024, right? Okay.
Late 2023, because it got Oscar consideration. Emma Stone got a lot of praise and stuff like that. Yeah, I gave that 5 stars.
Yeah, I was going to say, so you gave that 5 stars. I saw that a while later in 2024. I did not like that movie. That's just not my type of thing. It was more like Midsummer was, I think I liked that one more. That was another one that I know you were super high on. Now, you gave that 5 stars too, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. But here's what I'm saying, though. Like, those are movies that I think a lot of people can agree, whether you like it or not. I didn't necessarily like it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a good movie, if that makes sense. So, I mean, I didn't necessarily give it 5. But I gave it credit. I think I gave Poor Things 4 or something like that. So how do you decipher the difference between like a classic favorite movie of yours and then like an actually great movie? Or does it have to be both a great movie and a favorite of yours in order to be a 5-star film, in your opinion?
Really, for me, it could be just blow away my expectations.
Okay.
Really, and if the cast is really good, if enough stuff gels, because there are some that I probably would have rated a star lower, but they either, boosted up what they had for the cast or the cinematography. Like, with Poor Things, it was shot extremely well. Mm-hmm. But I can also see why people didn't jive with that. There were people who loved Oppenheimer. I gave Oppenheimer, I think, a star.
Yeah, yes, that's a prime example, yeah.
But with me, between 4 and 4.5, if 4 can vary, like with a B plus, 3.5 to 4 can be either a B to a B plus, A minus. 4.5 to 5 is an A plus, but okay, there's a little flaw, it doesn't quite carry it, but like, some that are on this list I gave huge, praise to because of, performances or pacing or just the fact that it made me feel something instead of seething rage for whatever the fuck Hollywood's doing right now.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what I really, and that's really how I rate these things. And if it gets 2.5 to 3, I mean, some of these movies that I rated 2.5 or 3, I really, quite frankly, I probably should have been a little bit harsher because some of these movies just weren't that good.
Going off of that, are there any movies that in retrospect, whether it be for 2024 or 2023 or whatever, that you look back on or like that wasn't as good or as bad as I thought it was? I mean, I guess you just mentioned the good one, but what about any movies that weren't as bad as when you first saw them?
I probably rated the second Sonic movie a little bit higher than I needed to, and I know that was 2022.
Yeah.
Because it's good, but it's also longer than it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think I gave it like an A-, and it's more like maybe a B+ or a B.
Okay.
There isn't anything right away. I mean, one that I think got even better, and this was back in 2018, was Hereditary. I gave Hereditary a B+. I've watched that thing 4 times.
Wow.
And it gets better. Yeah, that's how messed up I am, guys. For those that have seen Hereditary, you're like, how the hell did he watch that 4 times?
I know about it, but I know enough people. I would never watch it just because it falls in that category of stuff that's just not my cup of tea. But I know enough people that have seen it that said they really liked it. So that, and I could totally see that being your type of movie, John. So that doesn't surprise me at all.
You remember how you thought Midsummer was messed up?
This is even more messed up, you think?
Well, Hereditary's about there. I mean,
yeah.
Hereditary's about there, even though they try to ground it in reality. Is that Toni Collette delivers like Oscar-worthy performance, but because the Oscars hate horror, even though I think they'll actually change that this year with The Substance, they damn well better. Mm-hmm. She was great, but yeah, there are some where it's like I've rated them a little bit too low. I remember I thought that when I gave Nope the edge over Everything Everywhere All at Once for 2022, I probably should have flipped them because Everything Everywhere All at Once is a better movie.
Okay. You just did you like Nope more?
Yes and no. Okay. I've seen both enough times, like 3 times each. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once beats it barely. Now, I really liked Nope and did put it above. You could really flip either two. And really, you could flip either of my 2023 ones, which was Past Lives and Godzilla -1.
Okay.
Because you have a drama about 2 Korean childhood friends that meet up later in past lives. And if you don't know what the hell Godzilla -1 is, folks, then what the fuck? Did you see that one?
I did. That I don't know if I gave it 5, but if I didn't give it 5, I think I gave it 4.5. It was an awesome film. I think that was probably, I'm sure we talked about it last year because I saw it within 2023. Yeah, it was just an excellent movie.
Yeah, I watched it in theater. I'm not the biggest Godzilla fan. I ended up fucking loving it.
Well, we'll get into it, but did you end up giving that, 5 stars probably? 4.5?
I gave it 5.
Okay, so you gave that 5. In reference, I had seen your Letterboxd. I don't think I remember this from the time. I think I had seen this since then because I was curious. Well, again, we'll get into it in a couple minutes because we'll get to April. We'll go in chronological orders of movies of 2024, but you gave the new one, which I know is not the same studio, but Godzilla and Kong, you gave that 0.5 star, right?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
I did not like that movie.
No, you did not. That's what I'm saying. I'm surprised because I'm not saying it's a classic movie, but like 0.5 is like you must have fucking. You said you didn't like it, but you have had to have hated that movie to give it that low.
Yeah, because it's just I didn't even compare it to Godzilla -1. I just compared it to Godzilla and Kong, and I go, God, I thought Godzilla versus Kong wasn't great, but I'm like, geez,
it was worse. Yeah, it definitely was.
They included Golden Earrings Twilight Zone for when they went into the Hollow Earth or whatever the hell they call it, and I'm like, okay, and yeah, he's got his Infinity Gauntlet fist or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, he did. The villains just sucked.
Yeah,
I just thought they sucked. But again, I can see why some people liked it, but and they're going to do another one, I think, in either 2026 or 2027. And if they bring Rebecca Hall back, she was the main lead woman. I go, okay, sure, I'll watch. I'll watch about anything with her because I think she's a good actress. She was in The Night House that came out a few years ago that was really good. But,
okay.
But what you were saying about the list, going in chronological, that here's what we're going to do, guys, basically the idea. He kind of went over it. We'll start at the beginning, obviously, as the Mad Hatter once said, and get to the end, and we'll stop. But any of these streaming movies, if I just mention the title, you can seek them out unless I really think that they're good.
Yeah.
Because I don't even remember half of these damn things.
I'm sure, yeah.
Because
you erased it from your memory. That's what I was like. I was saying. Like, if it's so bad, you wouldn't remember. You might remember how bad it was, but for the most
part. It wasn't even
part.
that I erased it from my memory. It's just the fact is like, how can I pack 336 movies in my
Yeah,
skull?
for sure. In addition to everything else you've ever seen as well, so that makes sense. But we'll start with January. Well, actually, even before we'll start in a second. But I just want to reference this real quick. Where can people find you, John? I mentioned this before, but where can people find you on the Twitter machine, YouTube, and on Letterboxd as well for your full movie opinions? We'll plug it again at the end as well.
Yeah. Sure. Well, Letterboxd is Reborn43. Yeah, you can tell I love that stuff. Reborn again on Twitter. At least for now. I mean, who knows how Musk is going to just fry the goddamn thing. I am on Blue Sky also.
Okay.
Reborn, bsky.social.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how that handle goes.
Mm-hmm.
And YouTube, Real Honesty with Jonn Ritland. If you go to my Twitter, then just the link will be there.
Yeah.
This will be probably the last full-time year on YouTube just because I'm not, and my channel stays up anyway. I'm never going to get rid of it, but I've done 5,500 videos and counting, guys, and I've done 4,000 since the beginning of 2020. I mean, so, but yeah, that's basically where I can be found, and you can check out, you can tell definitely when I'm like into knocking a movie because I start to use certain terminology, like wanting to burn the director in effigy because of what they did. Which maybe I shouldn't say that because I might be flagged as violence, but
yeah,
that's the level of hatred I have for some of these movies.
Well, let's get into it. So starting with January, and again, I'll go off of the biggest movies I'm looking at here in order of release. Sure. Obviously, there's a whole list of movies, but I'm not going to go over the little ones, but you can mention the streaming ones after I list these off, and you can give me your quick thoughts. Most of these I have not seen for January. I may have seen one of them. But what came out in January of last year? Memory, I guess. It said expands in parentheses, so I don't know what that. I don't know. I guess that came out in theaters. I'm not sure. I don't remember that. Night Swim, I remember that came out. I didn't see it, but I remember that. The Beekeeper, The Book of Clarence, Mean Girls, which is the remake, not the original, obviously.
The musical.
The musical, yep. The End, We Start From, I don't know what expands means, but I'll just mention the ones that say
basically, here's what it means. Like, so, you know how some movies get nominated for Oscars and you maybe never saw them out in theaters anywhere before the end of the year? They have to play at theaters in L.A. and New York, I believe, for a week, I think, and then they're able to be nominated. So then they have an expansive release. I think that's what I mean.
So would those technically, should we include, I mean, you probably would have already seen those, right, or no?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. There are some of these movies on here that we'll talk about, even in the first few months, that did technically come out at film festivals and even limited release that got nominated, but they didn't get a wide release, so they count here.
So would those movies be wide releases or no?
The ones you mentioned?
Yeah, like Memory and The End We Start From.
The End We Start From, those would count. I didn't see either of those.
Okay. I didn't either.
I heard of them, but I mean, I didn't see either of those.
Okay. I'll mention it. We don't have to talk about it if you didn't see them. But
sure.
Founders Day, ISS, Origin, and Miller's Girl. Now, those were the biggest ones. There's obviously plenty of others. But of the ones that I mentioned, I'm sure you have your list in front of you, among other movies I did not mention. Any thoughts on those? Because I don't think I saw a single one of those movies.
Well, you mentioned Founders Day. That was actually the first movie I saw. It was a mystery movie. And I was like, okay, basically, here's the rundown. It's an attempt at political satire. It's a slasher. Somebody's dressed up like a weird judge with a stupid face and a stupid wig, and it's a stupid ending. Mm-hmm. And a stupid explanation for something you figured out from the opening. Yeah, I originally gave it a C-, and I was way too kind because it's an F.
Okay.
It's no, and I was like, the fact that this went into the bottom part of my honorable mentions for worst horror.
Okay.
Right off the bat, it's not good.
Okay.
Founders Day wasn't good. It had a decent idea, but it wasn't good. I'm going to mention quickly The Mummy Murders. Low budget. Had something to do with like a slasher. Mm-hmm. The director actually reached out to me appreciating that I watched it.
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
I wasn't very kind to it. I said, look, it was obviously low budget. It wasn't great. They tried. Night Swim I did see. It's a haunted pool.
Yeah, I saw the trailer.
And
I think we talked. I think you asked me about it on the hashtag at the time, and I said maybe, and I think you gave it a shit review, right?
yes, I did. I wasn't harsh enough. Remember the Pet Cemetery remake that they did?
Yes, I do.
I
Yeah.
think the guy that played the dad in that was in this.
Okay.
And Carrie something. I don't remember. I don't remember
In
her
Night
last
Swim?
name, but Night Swim. Hang on a second. All
Oh,
right,
Kerry
so-
Condon?
Yes, Carrie
Okay,
Condon.
yeah.
She was in the Banshees of Inisherin, and now this is her way of getting more into doing mainstream stuff. She was great in the Banshees of Inisherin. It was a Blumhouse movie, so
Yeah.
what do you expect? And it was PG-13. They should have had it with a bunch of teens partying, and they get picked off by the damn pool,
Mm-hmm.
like that Sludge short in Creep Show 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 5 people listening to this that might get that. I mean,
Yeah, no,
that's
I have not seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. But yeah, Night Swim is crap. You mentioned The Beekeeper.
Yeah.
I love Jason Statham. That's actually one I drove to see at a special screening. I drove and watched it in IMAX. I paid the convenience fee, and I watched this. And
Was it worth it?
no, No, it wasn't.
There you go. I guess. Yeah.
Well, it had the guy that Josh Hutcherson,
Yep,
the guy
yep,
that
yep,
played
yep.
Peeta,
And Hunger Games.
Games.
He's also in Five Nights at Freddy's as well.
Yeah, F that movie. Not
I know you didn't like that one either.
No. I got killed for not liking it. Oh, it's taking the lore of the games.
I know.
your lore
Yeah, you would
shit.
not give a shit. We talked about it last year. I liked that movie, but I know you probably would not have. That doesn't surprise me. I understand that.
I mean,
It wasn't
take their
scary
lore
either.
and shove it up their ass as far as I'm concerned, because it just wasn't a good movie. But well, no, and don't get me wrong, it was successful. So what do I know?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, Beekeeper it was typical Jason Statham, and it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
Yep.
Because there was no build. There was a little bit of like a setup of why he started doing what he did, and then that was it. He just started blowing shit up, which that's fine if you give me a reason to care.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't. Origin was really good. It was about, oh God, Jesus, Origin. It was about God, who the hell was?
Yeah, I'm looking it up right now. The remarkable life and work of Pulitzer Prize winner Isabel Wilkerson.
Yes, and
Okay.
Audrey Ellis Taylor.
Yes.
She was really good. I'm trying to remember, what was the Origin movie about? I'm trying to remember.
It said the unspoken system that has shaped America and chronicles how lives today are defined by a hierarchy of human divisions. Does that sound familiar at
Yeah,
all?
no,
Okay.
that sounds about right. There was a particular young black man that got killed in a hate crime, and I forget which one.
Okay.
I mean, that's not to say that it's not important, but but it was from a while ago. It's really good. Neon Studios knocked it out of the park. Ellis Taylor was tremendous. That was one I praised to heaven. That was another mystery movie, actually, that I watched.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that one's really good. I don't remember where it is. I don't remember if it's Netflix or Hulu, but it's really, really worth watching. And that's one that actually technically did come out in 2023, limited.
Yeah.
But, since it didn't get an expansive run, I'm counting it here because why not?
Yeah.
They turned us into killers. I don't know why in the world I wasn't turned into a killer watching this.
That sounds awful. I don't even know what it's about. It sounds bad.
They turned us into killers. Who was in that? Remember the Rob Zombie Halloween movies?
I haven't seen them, but I know of them, yes.
Okay, well, you have Scout Taylor Compton, who was in that. She was she played the Laurie Strode character. You had her. It was like it was obvious where it was going. It was some little indie horror bullshit about turning into killers, because I think of something that, like, a friend got attacked or whatever, and they took
Yep.
the band. Hellhounds was somehow not the worst werewolf movie that I've seen this year.
Mm-hmm.
Mean Girls, I hated this version of Mean Girls. I hate it.
Did that get
And
good
I
reviews?
love the original.
Or no? I mean, yeah, I like the original too, but did the musical get good reviews or no? Or not?
the musical, well, I mean, I hated it, but let's see. Actually, no, I'm trying to see, actually. Let me check, Mean Girls 2024.
Because I heard conflicting things about it. I don't know if it was like it looked like garbage when I'm like, why are they, like, what is the point of this? But I heard it got good reviews, so I don't know.
After the movie was so wildly successful, they thought, hey, let's turn it into a sequel, which is fine, or let's turn it into a musical, which is fine. And look, I'm not saying that the cast didn't even try. Like, they did what they could, but there were also some super annoying characters for the wrong reasons. And one of the girls that was in it, and I don't even remember her name, she, Mean Girls 2024, she has yeah, I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that goddamn name. Avantika is her name, is her first name, but okay. She was in it. But the whole point is the music didn't work. It was just retelling the same story that we've seen before. I pretty much hate it.
Yeah, anything else from January that stands out?
No, I'm just going to go through these quickly. Destroy All Neighbors had Jonah, who was in the most recent MST3K revival.
Okay.
It was an attempt at a horror comedy that hit neither of those.
Mm-hmm.
Decent practical effects, but that was it. It's on Shudder. Role play, Kaylee Kuko, I think is her name.
Oh, yeah, from Big Bang Theory, I believe, yeah.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, that deserved to be blown up in a big bang as far as I'm concerned. But, it was like if Mr. and Mrs. Smith was made by an idiot.
Okay.
So, one from 2023 that I want to shout before I get into another one that the actress is in, Anatomy of a Fall, has Sandra Hüller in it. It was about if a woman had really killed her husband, and it was a trial-based one. It was really good. It's from Neon Studios. You mentioned ISS.
Yes.
They should have sent out an SOS because that movie needed as much help as it could get. Another space. This was one of a couple space movies I saw that just, good God, good Lord.
Too many space movies.
It had a decent Ariana DeBose, I believe, is in it.
Yep.
She's really good. Unfortunately, she's made some questionable choices. No, it wasn't very. I don't know. It had a central idea that would have worked better in a short movie. One I want to shout from that I drove an hour for. I drove an hour for The Zone of Interest. It was it takes place around Auschwitz, guys.
Interesting.
Yeah. There are scenes in that movie that will stick in my mind for the rest of my life. Really good. One of my favorite films of the year. Sandra Hüller was tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't about what you saw. It was about what they implied. There was stuff going on in the background. It just, because I think it was a PG-13. I don't know how they pulled that off. But it was absolutely captivating. Magnificent stuff. Well worth it, even though Bellevue's a terrible city to drive to. The Kitchen on Netflix, it was dystopian stuff. I don't necessarily remember much about it. It wasn't that important. All of Us Strangers was great. Paul Mescal was in it. I think it was Paul Mescal, wasn't it? Paul. I need to just have Google open. But yeah, he was in All of Us Strangers. Basically, a guy is dealing with loss. He goes to his parents' old home and discovers that he can talk to them and see them the way they were the day they died.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Really, really good. Actually got me to cry. Yes, something got through my black heart. But that's one we're checking out. Land of Bad is not good. Mm-hmm. That's a Russell Crowe military movie where he literally sits down for his role.
Interesting.
The guy's caught behind enemy lines. Not the Behind Enemy Lines movie. Not even the one with Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah,
Kennedy.
I saw that one, yeah. Kennedy.
Yeah, I don't understand how they made more of those. Guess Who? I think it was about guessing who the killer was. I mean, really, I don't remember much.
Yeah.
Chapel was something about, I think it was about a horror movie about, God, there was some lady getting married in a chapel. Imagine. It didn't work necessarily because they gave it an F. Tim, it had to do with AI.
Yep.
Had Georgina Campbell in it. Remember Barbarian?
Oh yeah.
The main lady in that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was about AI that becomes self-aware. God, how original.
Yeah.
Prime. What the fuck was this movie? Jesus Christ.
What's it called?
Prime movie. Let me see.
It's called Prime Movie, or it's on Prime?
Call Prime. Prime 2024. Oh, the hell with it. It's not that goddamn important. It obviously didn't mean much, or otherwise I would have remembered what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, I don't even remember watching that. That shows how important that movie is, guys.
Apparently so.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not the one with Meryl Streep. Well, never mind. Lift. Oh yeah, Lift was the one that God.
It was
Kevin
a
Hart
Netflix
was
film,
in.
right? Yeah, it was a Netflix movie, right?
Yeah. Lift him right out of Hollywood, as far as I'm concerned. No, I didn't like it. Just in case I don't think Kevin Hart's a bad person. I just don't care for him. Yeah, it was like a mixture of like all these heist movie cliches, but just somehow done worse.
Mm-hmm.
Badland Hunters was some like offshoot of some South Korean action movie where the undead were attacking people.
Mm-hmm.
It was all right. It actually wasn't too bad. Punch was some horror movie with a guy dressed up like Punch and Judy, the old puppets.
Okay.
That's scary and old even for me.
Okay.
I think that's about it. No, Project Dorothy was another one that had Danielle Harris in it. She was like an AI in a warehouse, and there were like 2 other people in it. Yeah, great budgetary usage there.
Sounds riveting.
That's it for January.
Well, then we move on to February. February 2nd was when Argyle came out, which I'll get into because I actually did see that one. Lisa Frankenstein, I know you mentioned before we hit record here. We'll talk about that one. Out of Darkness came out in February of last year. The Bob Marley One Love movie. Madam Web, I did see that one. Land of Bad, you mentioned that one. You probably saw that on one of those mystery movies, right? Because it technically officially came out
mid-January,
okay.
I think.
Yeah, okay, so you get to see movies early, which is cool. So technically it came out, I guess, February 16th. So that's there. Drive Away Dolls, Ordinary Angels. That's really it. But surprisingly, of those movies, I actually did see more of those than I saw anything in January. I saw Argyle and Madam Web, and they were both fucking abysmal. I mean, Argyle was just better because Madam Web was just bad. Did you end up seeing Madam Web or no?
Oh, God, yeah.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
So you loved it, right?
You got so much. Just show Sydney Sweeney some flashcards. Maybe she'll figure out how to read. I don't know why I have such an issue with her. She's nice, but just people say, well, she's nice and she looks good. I didn't say she didn't look good. I just don't think she's a good actress.
Yeah.
And I'm not even basing it on that. She was in some movie called Nocturne, I think, that I saw years ago, and I didn't even realize it was her. And I just don't think she's that great.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those were the ones that came out. Okay, let's go through February quick. Argyle was horrible.
Argyle sucked. Yeah, that was just
horrible.
A mess. Yeah.
Bryce Dallas Howard is great. Samuel Jackson is great. Henry Cavill, John Cena's hair.
Dua Lipa was in there. Yeah, quite the cast. But Catherine O'Hara, I think, was in it as well.
Yes, she was.
Amazing cast. Just the movie was a mess.
And it was from the guy that did the Kingsman movies.
Yes, yeah. No, they had that great. I mean, spoiler alert for a movie that came out last year, but that post-credit scene to kind of connect the two, and I would hope they don't make anything more out of that because I don't give a shit about. I mean, I've seen the Kingsman movies, or at least most of them. I just don't care. That sounds awful. So I don't know. Just stupid.
Argyle failed so spectacularly. Even though Apple has more money than about 20 federal governments, and that's what they basically do. They make these movies, and even if they take a bath at the box office, they put it on their streaming service. There's one coming up here in a little bit in the summer that I'll talk about that actually was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But Argyle was horrible. I mean, just everything about it was totally inconsistent. It was way longer than it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if they cut 20 to 30 minutes off, it wouldn't have been any better, but it would have been shorter.
Yeah, that's at least something, yeah.
But I hated that. I mean, I remember just dumping on that like crazy on Letterboxd and on video. What I saw, Departing Seniors, it was like a throwback of like a comedy horror from like, I mean, I think it was taking place in current time, but it was trying to like channel like stuff from the 80s and 90s. And it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't great. I loved Lisa Frankenstein. I bought a goddamn shirt from Redbubble that somebody had designed it. And I love Catherine Newton. I think she's great. I thought she was cool in Paranormal Activity 4, but didn't know she'd go very far. And then I saw her in Freaky and the Map. I think she was in the Map of Tiny Perfect Things. She was in this. She was also in Abigail. We'll get to that. But Lisa I love Lisa Frankenstein. I thought it was that's one where maybe I might have praised it a little bit too much because it should have expanded and more on its story and had more fun with the comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Cole Sprouse I thought was pretty good as the guy she resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
It captured enough spirit. It was fun, and that was a mystery movie. That was actually something I saw a few days before it came out. And that movie had a surprising amount of walkouts. The instant somebody saw what it was, I think like 15 people walked out of the theater. And I'm like, okay.
Interesting.
I had more leg room then.
Yeah.
Gods of the Deep. Hey, let's take a Cthulhu story and let's make it where it's like a puppet underwater.
Mm-hmm.
No, really, that's basically what it was.
That sounds terrible.
Daytime Nightmares. I swear the Daytime Nightmares was it was one that a lady did, I think she ended up, basically producing, she ended up producing, directing, and, starring in it, and bless her little heart, but no. It was about a woman losing her mind, and look, there was a good central idea. It's just that idea was centrally buried in bullshit.
Yeah.
Out of Darkness, you mentioned. Yeah, let's go back to caveman times. In fact, let's send the director back to caveman times so he can never make anything like this again. No, it looked okay from the trailers.
Mm-hmm.
It had no meat to its bone.
Okay.
Had nothing to it. One of the worst things I saw this year, though, Skeletons in the Closet, where we have Terrence Howard, Cuba Gooding Jr., who were at one time pretty good actors, but they've done certain naughty things to women, apparently, allegedly, covering my ass here.
Mm-hmm.
It featured some of the worst special effects, like Windows Movie Maker 98 was used in the beginning.
Oh my God!
And yeah, it's on Shudder. I don't know if they had Skeletons in the Closet or Bats in the Belfry, but it was pretty bad.
Okay.
Upgraded. That was a rom-com.
Oh, on Prime.
On
right?
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on Amazon. It was okay. The Teacher's Lounge was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was a German lady that was a teacher in another country. I don't remember if it was Norway. It might actually be I don't remember the country. It's not that the movie isn't important, but again, so many movies I've seen. That was great. Great performance. Mainly centered in the goddamn school, but told beautifully about a student that may have done something bad and the consequences of making sure that those, that punishment is carried out.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, really good, actually. I saw it. I think I was the only one watching it in theaters because it was one of those indie movies.
Yeah.
Here for Blood was like a Canadian. It was a Canadian indie horror movie that it was decent. It had to do with let's see. A guy basically takes a babysitter. He's a professional wrestler on the indies in Canada.
Mm-hmm. You
remember the first X-Men movie?
The one that came out in 2000?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
The guy that Rogue kissed?
Yep. Is he the main star?
Yeah, he's the main star. His name's Sean Roberts. He played Wesker in the later Resident Evil movies.
Oh, okay.
he actually, I don't know why he commented on my review of it. But I guess I said they must have had a short production window because they did a good job, but it just had a feeling. He goes, I think the place had to be used for a wedding, so they had to get to shoot them fast. I go, oh, good to know.
That's what he said?
Yeah. And Fear the Blood actually was pretty entertaining. I mean, I gave it a B+. I probably gave it a little bit of a high grade, but it was entertaining enough.
Mm-hmm.
Earworm had to do with a guy that got, I think he had something where he was going to be able to have absolute power, but he had like a parasite in his head.
Interesting.
Yeah, I made it sound more interesting than it actually was. Madam Web. I mean, what do you think? Do you question how much I actually hated this movie?
I don't know. I think you're spot on about this one because I mean, you haven't seen or haven't gone out of your way to watch like a majority of the Marvel movies, right? I know this wasn't necessarily Marvel. Okay, so even if you, I don't think you would have to understand this movie or to enjoy it. It's not like you don't watch those other movies, so you don't like them. Sure. You think this one's awful. No, you are spot on, John, about this one. This one is not good. The acting was atrocious. I know you mentioned Sydney Sweeney. I'm sorry. I'm not even talking about her other movies, but Dakota Johnson in this movie was fucking terrible. I thought she was just not a good lead. I don't know if I haven't seen enough of her other stuff, but I thought she sucked, and just the overall movie just was definitely among the worst I've seen all year. It was almost so bad it was good. I don't know if you saw Morbius, but that was also so bad.
Oh,
not
yeah,
good.
I saw Morbius. I hated Morbius.
Yeah, Morbius was awful too, but like almost in a funny way, and that was... There were some parts of this that were like, what is going on? But there was another one that was trash as well.
Don't worry, guys. We'll get to the other superhero movie that wasn't very good. Here's the thing. You took the words right out of my mouth. Dakota Johnson was great in the Suspiria remake. Mm-hmm. She's been good in other stuff. She was terrible here. And she did it no favors with the marketing.
Yeah, no, she clearly did not give a shit.
Terrible villain, too. Not even the actor. Terrible villain. Terrible ADR.
Yeah, the ADR was just atrocious.
Man, that and Kraven the Hunter had terrible ADR.
Yeah, we'll get to Kraven later, yeah.
Yeah, we will. I'd like to get to that and watch it get mauled by a lion. Madam Web is on my worst movies of the year. Orion in the Dark on Netflix.
Okay.
Fairly decent. It was about it was like a kid's movie about nightmares and, maybe some things not being all that bad and imaginary friends and stuff like that. Still not the worst imaginary friend type movie that I've seen this year. It was decent enough. Mm-hmm. My Bloody Galentine on Tubi, I found it to be funny because it was about a bunch of girls that got broken up with over Valentine's Day, and then suddenly somebody is slashing up their exes.
Interesting.
I had a blast with it. It's inherently incredibly stupid and insipid. But it's so entertaining that I couldn't help it. It's on Tubi if you guys want to check it out. It's by no means a good movie, but it's funny. The Taste of Things. Juliette Binoche and Benoit something or other. I can't remember the guy's name right now off the top of my head because it's French. Yeah, it's about French people a couple, that eventually, or two people that eventually get together, and it's all about French food, and it's beautiful. I went and saw that. God, Jesus, I don't remember. I can't remember what theater I drove to, but I had a blast. Another movie got to me emotionally because it was really, really good. It's very artsy. I can definitely see a lot of people not jiving with it, but I did. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Ordinary Angels.
Yes.
Let me say, it's based on a true story, and the girl that survived the liver transplant is safely living on. Mm-hmm. And that's great. The movie was terrible. Because it's from the, I don't know if it's from that or an offshoot. In fact, let's see. Because Ordinary Angels, if you haven't figured out, is a very religious-based movie. Mm-hmm. In case you guys didn't figure that out. Hilary Swank, and look, Hilary Swank's great. She's been great in a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. This is like if you took Erin Brockovich, if you took like the Erin Brockovich model, and you just took all the swearing and all the stuff that, made Erin Brockovich good. Because it was religious. Religious as fuck. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just was terrible. It was another mystery movie, and I'm sitting here watching it. There are people crying at this. I go, you guys are fucking idiots is what I wanted to say, but I didn't say that. Oh, it's from Lionsgate. That's why I hate it. Okay. Pray for the Bride. Remember Ready or Not?
Yeah, I never saw that, but I do remember that, yeah.
Yeah, well, Ready or Not did it better.
Okay.
That's all I have to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
Stop motion. Remember Speak No Evil?
The original or the one that came out this year?
The one that you watched.
Yes, I do remember that, yep.
The one that played James McAvoy's wife, Ashlyn Franceschi.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she was in this movie too? Okay.
Yeah, she was. It was about a stop-motion animation mother I know in a movie called Stop Motion, who was kind of domineering, and the daughter was trying to overcome the trauma that she dealt with. Great stop-motion animation, very atmospheric. She's great. She's a very good actress. She's also incredibly attractive. That doesn't hurt. But it ended up just being okay.
Mm-hmm.
Drive Away Dolls. I love Margaret Qualley. That was the main one that was in it. I don't remember her co-star, but she's all right. Ever since I saw Sanctuary, I'm like, okay, Margaret Qualley. You've heard of Andie MacDowell, right?
I don't know. It sounds familiar.
Well, that's her daughter.
Okay.
Andie MacDowell's a very good actress. I mean, I don't.
Oh
know,
yeah. She's in. What is she in? Well, she's in Ready or Not, but Groundhog Day. I know her from Groundhog Day. Yep.
Oh God, that's right. Yeah, she was in that. Yeah, she actually. God, I forgot she wasn't Ready or Not. But no, Margaret Qualley is great. She has her mother's talent while forming her own thing. Drive Away Dolls was like a Coen Brothers movie. Mm-hmm. They've done a lot of stuff. Look it up, folks. I ain't got all day. This was not a good one though. I didn't like it. I did not jive with it. Unfortunately, because I was looking forward to it. But don't worry, Margaret can redeem herself a little bit later on.
Okay.
History of Evil. Hey, let's go to an old plantation owner's house and shoot a horror movie really badly.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Okay.
One I love that came out last year, Perfect Days. Or it actually came out in 2023 briefly. Guy's janitor in Tokyo doing just working his days and listening to a great soundtrack. They start off at House of the Rising Sun by the Animals, I think was the name of the group. And it's just great. It's, it's just really nice to see how people's routines can please them or how some people just want to be left alone to do their own thing. I think that's on Hulu. It's really good.
Okay.
I think that's it for April, for February.
Okay, for February. All right. Well, we open up March with Dune Part 2. That was on March 1st, which we'll get into because I did see that one. I know this wasn't a theatrical release, but I know that you saw it. I haven't seen it, but I'll mention I just recognize it here. Ricky Stenicki, that came out on Prime. I'm sure you'll mention that one. That came out on March 7th. March 8th was Imaginary, which I know you mentioned earlier. Kung Fu Panda 4 also came out. What the fuck are these movies, by the way? March 8th.
I don't wonder if that was looking at my own list.
I'm just like, especially in the first few months of the year. I mean, I saw even just of the movies that I watched, I did not like any of these, which is funny. But anyway, March 15th.
Well, you have to remember you had the writer's strike.
Yeah.
And the actor's strike. So a lot of these movies that got shoved out were sitting on the back burner.
Yeah, that's true. March 15th, Arthur the King, the American Society of Magical Negroes came out that day as well. Love Lies Bleeding and One Life. And the following week, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Immaculate, Promalista, Godzilla and Kong, we mentioned that earlier, the new Empire, and In This Land of Saints and Sinners. So of all those, this was the month I saw some of it. I saw Dune Part 2 and I saw Ghostbusters, which I admittedly really like just because I'm a fucking Ghostbusters mark and I'm just unapologetically I'll like those movies. And Godzilla and Kong, I saw that one as well. So Mr. Jonn Ritland, give me your thoughts on what came out in March of 2024.
Well, let's go with this. Clear Mind. That was a streaming movie where the people, let's see, this lady, it was a weird VR therapy session thing. I don't know. It wasn't good. It wasn't a good comedy horror. Alice in Terrorland. Yes, it's about a horror version of Alice in Wonderland. In theory, it was a movie, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't good. Parallel. Here's the frustrating thing about Parallel. It was like a good Twilight Zone concept. That it had, who the hell was it? Daniel Deadweiler, who has been in quite a bit of stuff. She was in Till. She was in The Piano Lesson.
Okay.
She was in Carry On, and she's a really good actress. It was about trying to find an alternate reality where their son was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
And there was enough to it to recommend slightly, but it wasn't great. Dune Part 2, yeah, I hate it.
You know what? I think, obviously we're in the minority here because it was obviously critically acclaimed. But I think this is definitely one thing that you and I can agree on where we both have an unpopular opinion. I don't like the Dune movies at all. I'm not going to say they're bad. The first one I thought was just boring as fuck. This one was better and I gave it a higher rating, but I'm still not a fan of these movies at all.
The thing is, see, basically, expanding on the Dune story is the worst thing because they did the movie that David Lynch did a movie in 82, 84. I think it was 84. And it was their bad director's cut and other stuff and everything sent out or done since. Dennis Villeneuve, however the hell you say his goddamn name, he's a really good director. Timothée Chalamet, tremendous. He was great in Bones and all. Zendaya, I get it with Zendaya. I mean, she's in a movie that I really liked a little bit later on that we'll talk about, but. Great cast, Javier Bardem. But yeah, I'm sorry, boring. Looks cool. Boring. Extremely boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wrote The Mighty Sandworm. Thank you, Al Gore from Futurama. That was a Mighty Moonworm. But yeah, Dune Part 2 I didn't care for. At all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sitting here watching and I go, why is this movie like 2.5 something fucking hours?
Yeah, they're just long movies. Long movies of just nothing but sand.
It's just, that wasn't good. And you and I definitely are in agreement on that. One of two Tyler Perry movies, Mea Culpa. Kelly Rowland from Destiny's Child is a lawyer. It ends up she gets involved with a client that turns sour. Big surprise. The only reason this wasn't actually in my worst list is because it features such a hilarious last 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I had to watch some of these scenes 3 times. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
I had to rewind and watch this just to see but I was laughing so much I go, okay, I'm mad at the movie, but I can't stay that mad at it. But yeah, it's proof that Tyler Perry needs to never be allowed behind a camera. Spaceman. That was the Netflix one with Adam Sandler in space. And Paul Dano, or Dano.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the voice of like some space spider talking to him because he was isolated in space.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, I made it sound more interesting than it was. It didn't work.
Okay.
Indigo. It was I think it was an Indonesian horror movie that was certainly weird. It's a cult. I probably would have jived with it a lot more if I understood, the cultural differences. But it was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Amelia's Children was not. That was pretty much bargain basement possession bullshit. Ricky Stenicki was that was the one with it's almost a Zach Braff. That one, right? Zac Efron and John Cena. And
yeah,
it was terrible. Just terrible. Absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, but it wasn't the worst of the 2 John Cena Amazon movies, though. That one's coming up later. Miller's Girl. Oh, Jenna Ortega in a movie, and it's a somewhat thing about her trying to tempt a teacher, and maybe we get something going on here and everything, and maybe Jenna Ortega gets to play a bad bitch. Sign me the fuck up. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Miller's Girl wasn't very good. Neither was Imaginary.
I forgot that came out, honestly. Until I read it off, I forgot that came out.
Yeah, I wish I could have forgot that movie came out. Another Blumhouse blunder. The idea of an imaginary friend. A lot of imaginary friend movies this year. Now that I think about it, I don't understand how in the world they could have said, yeah, this is a great idea. And the kid, the little girl, and bless him. And I don't like to pick on kid actors, but that girl was awful.
Mm-hmm.
Just awful. She's doing the thing where it's like, the imaginary friends trying to make it like, oh, you got to do something that'll hurt, slam her hand on a nail.
Mm-hmm.
You promise it won't hurt? No, the only thing that's hurting is your acting, you little... No, that's mean. That's mean. It's not that kid's fault. Imaginary was terrible, though. Terrible ending. Implication they might do a sequel. Damsel. Was Damsel the one with Millie Bobby Brown?
I haven't heard of that one, I don't think.
That was Netflix. Oh, yeah, Millie Bobby Brown, there was a dragon in it.
Okay.
Pretty bad. Pretty goddamn bad. It's like if Dragonheart was made by an idiot. God, Dragonheart. I was 15 years old when they came out. Wait, yeah, good Lord. Yeah, Damsel wasn't very good, and I think they're implying a sequel. The woods are real. A couple gets lost in the woods, and it's kind of weird and mind-bendy. It wasn't very good.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen worse. A Lovely, Dark, and Deep. Again, Georgina Campbell. I love Georgina Campbell. This was about her as a forest ranger, and some weird shit is happening in the woods. Romy. The fuck was that one? That was another AI one where a girl does something really bad in the very beginning and then it haunts her, but it actually turns out that what she did isn't actually causing all this stuff. It's generic stuff. It's another AI thing that was terrible. Love Lies Bleeding. I've watched this 3 times,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. It is not a movie that people are going to totally jive with. If you have a Max subscription, I think it's on there. Kristen Stewart's great. Katie O'Brien as a fitness competitor, bodybuilding competitor. Ed Harris was great. Rose Glass, who did Saint Maud, she directed it. It's wild. It's just tremendous. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. Bit of a spoiler. You shouldn't have let me in. This movie shouldn't have been let in the door. I think it had something to do with somebody hunting down somebody that wronged them or whatever. The camp host had to do with 2 people being fucking idiots and going to this terrible, obvious, run by a killer trailer park thing, and they end up getting, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fucking bad. I don't understand why. Wicked Little Letters was another mystery movie. Fun. It was fun. It had to do with letters being put out in, letters with all the sweary, naughty words in some small hamlet in Britain or Ireland. I think it was Britain. Entertaining enough. Yeah, I didn't like Ghostbusters Frozen Empire at all.
Yeah, no, I didn't think you did.
And don't get me wrong, I totally get why you like the movies. There's nothing wrong with that. And my big thing is, Afterlife had, the little girl that was in it. God damn it. The little girl that was in it.
And the other one as well, right? The last one?
Yes.
What's her name?
No. McKenna Grace.
McKenna Grace, yep.
Yeah. She was great in Afterlife, and she was one of the few highlights, in my opinion, and they totally nerfed her character in this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, I see why some people liked it. I pretty much ripped on it from the very beginning of my review, which probably got me more hate than I needed, but I didn't like it. I still think, though, it wasn't one of the worst things I've seen this year because more stuff comes up. You mentioned Immaculate. Well, you liked Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, though.
Yes, I did like Ghostbusters. I think I don't know if I liked it as more than the last one, but I did like that one. I did not see Immaculate though.
Immaculate. Look, Sydney Sweeney. She acted her ass off. I mean, people say like that. Oh, there was a great closing shot, and it was. And the thing is, the movie was almost too stripped down to where it was just the same thing that you've seen in like 60s or 70s Italian possession movies.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it isn't the. It was a misfire from Neon Studios. I didn't hate it as much, but I was very disappointed. Problemista was very good. It was another from A24. Tilda Swinton was in it. She's tremendous. Julio Torres starred in it, directed it. He's the guy that's on the poster. If you happen to see the poster,
Mm-hmm.
it's it deals with stuff about immigration, people that have only known this country as their home and stuff like that, and also it has a few sci-fi elements. It's to me magnificently told. I probably gave it a little bit of a higher grade than I needed to. I could have maybe knocked half a star off because it had a bit of a weird ending, but I still jived with it enough. Late Night with the Devil.
I remember that one.
Movie.
Yeah. Did you like that one?
Great. Oh, I loved it.
Okay.
Great throwback to the 70s. It was like they took a tape, or even some film from a late night television show. And the third act goes a little bit off the rails. That's all I'm going to say for those that haven't seen it. But it still works so well, especially aesthetically. I had to recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll Never Find Me. It's set in the Australian. It's set somewhere in an isolated Australian area, and a guy and a girl are trying to have shelter. A girl needs shelter from a storm, and it's pretty obvious where it's going, but still good acting. Exuma, great South Korean horror movie. Great shit.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely great. Fucking tremendous. Just great pacing, great, just all around. It went in a totally different direction halfway through. I loved it. I had a blast. One of my favorite movies of the year. Sting, I hated it. Not the wrestler. Nobody falling through broken glass in this. But no, Sting was about a spider that comes from from outer space and attacks people in an apartment complex. They consist of 4 rooms.
Mm-hmm.
It was not a good spider horror movie, but that comes up later. Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. I think this new empire needs to fall and keep falling. And finally, The Piper. It had kind of to do with the Pied Piper. Okay. Horror related. It's all right. April.
Yeah, April. I thought the Godzilla movie was in April, but I guess that was in March.
Maybe it was. Okay, maybe. No, I think it was very late March.
It was late March. Yeah, no, I thought it was late April. I like that one. But what did you give the last Godzilla and Kong movie? I know you gave this one 0.5. What did you give the last one? You mentioned it earlier.
Do you remember? The last one? Oh, X or versus Kong?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what I did on Letterboxd. I might not even review it on Letterboxd. It came out a couple years ago, but I think I gave it a C+.
Okay. Well, it wasn't like it was an A and then this one was an F.
No.
All right. So not that dramatic of a difference. That makes sense. For the April movies, they have The First Omen, Monkey Man, Wicked Little Letters, Civil War, Don't Tell Mom, The Babysitter's Dead, Sting you mentioned already, Abigail, Hard Miles, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I haven't seen it, but that's on my list. Someone told me that was good. Sasquatch Sunset, not Alien, that was a re-release, but Challengers came out in April as well, and that was it. The rest of them are re-releases. Well, those are the main ones, obviously. There's plenty more that you'll get into, but I think of those, personally, I don't know if I saw any of those. Well, I saw Challengers. I watched that later on, but I did see Challengers. But yeah, what do you got for April?
The Animal Kingdom. For those that have seen Blue is the Warmest Color, The Younger Girl, Adele something, I can never pronounce her name. People are turning into animal-like creatures. And it's a thing about, can we accept changes in people, or do we just ostracize them? It was tonally a little bit uneven, but it mostly worked. Plus, I'll watch anything that Adele's in. Mm-hmm. I watched Monkey Man. I thought it was really good, but I thought when the action stopped, it stalled badly.
Okay.
That's on, I don't know if that's on Peacock or Prime. It's worth watching. It's like if you took John Wick and just put a Hindi spin on it.
Not bad.
Yeah, and The First Omen, hated it. Hey, let's take Ralph Ineson, who's a really good actor, and let's make him, absolutely, just nerfed in this whole thing. A lot of nerf talk on this goddamn show, which I don't think anybody really gets the nerf thing, but, And the thing is, see, Nell Tiger Free, who is the main lead in it, as opposed to the secondary lead. There was good acting in it to an extent, but it was just unnecessary, because anybody that's seen the first Omen, you know how it's going to fucking turn out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I saw Monkey Man, then watched the first Omen right after. So I did a double feature of that, because I was going to go watch it in town, but the traffic was so bad, it would have taken me an hour to go 14 miles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first Omen wasn't very good. One that really stuck out to me was Femme. Nathan Stewart Jarrett, or Nathan Jarrett Stewart, one of the two. He plays a man that dresses in drag. He's a victim of a hate crime, and then he gets revenge on one of the people that beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good. I drove 30 miles to watch that. God, who the hell was... Jesus, that's going to bug me if I don't type this in. Who's the other guy? Was it George McKay? George McKay was in that. He was also in The Beast, which is another movie I'll talk about here in a bit. And I think, God, wasn't he in Baby Girl? I want to say he was. He was, yes. The End, The Beat, no, he wasn't. God damn it. I don't know. Somebody else was in that. No, Harris Dickinson, that's who was in it. George McKay, though, was really, really good as an actor. He was also in 1917.
Oh, okay.
Civil War was incredible.
Really? I mean, I've heard about it. I know what happens and whatnot. I didn't actually watch it, but you liked it, though.
Yeah, Kaylee Spaney, who was in Priscilla, and also in something a little bit later on, Alien Romulus. She was great. Kirsten Dunst, rather. She was great in it. Jesse Plemons, who only had a brief role in that. Alex Garland did a great job. And the sound design made it worth seeing in theaters. So if you have a decent sound system, you'll really get the most out of it.
Okay.
Great A24 effort. Baghead had to do with, I think, a creature trying to impersonate a dad to get his... No. Baghead was something else. Baghead had something... Sorry. Baghead had to do with... an entity that you had to have the bag over the head. If you took the bag off, it would give you what you wanted, but it would also possess you, I think. Mm-hmm. I don't remember. Festival of the Living Dead. You know, I got more backlash for saying this movie was bullshit and that it didn't make sense. But yeah, it had to do with, it started out okay and then dissolved into bullshit. It's on Tubi. Bite. It has to do, I believe, with an app that turns you into a werewolf.
Interesting.
No, really.
Well, that sounds not one. When I say interesting, I mean, it didn't sound interesting. It sounds like trash.
Well, no, I mean, I've seen a lot of shit werewolf movies this year.
Well, we got another one coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, Blumhouse needs to just put that right back in. I'm going to liken that to some trash. Arcadian, Nicolas Cage, trying to help his two sons survive a post-apocalyptic world with weird creatures that admittedly have a cool design, and unfortunately that's all the movie has.
Okay.
The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. I liked it.
You liked it?
It was
Okay.
fun.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't so sure how it was going to go. It went better than Guy Ritchie's other film from the previous year, Operation Fortune Rose de Gueux, or however the hell you say it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Henry Cavill was good. It was breezy. It was fun. It had its I mean, it's not going to be perfect. It did feature Asa Gonzalez, who is just magnificently attractive.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really good. It's not the best Guy Ritchie movie, but it has its moments. La Chimera, that was about, God, what the hell? That was about, I think, art. It was about, like, trying to find, it was about, like, art searching, robbing, or, like, looking around tombs, trying to, like, find artifacts and stuff like that. It was Neon Studios. Josh O'Connor was in that. He was also in Challengers. He was the dark-haired one.
Mm-hmm.
Isabella Rossellini was in it. She was also in something really, really good later. Carol Durante, I got to shout her there. It's weird. I might have to watch it again to get the full experience because it was weird to see in theaters, but it was pretty good. Damaged had Samuel Jackson in it, and I was actually excited to see it because there's this Scottish actress that was in a movie called Mercy Falls, Nicolette McCown, I think is how you say her name. And I was excited because she was in it. Well, unfortunately, she didn't make it very long. Sorry, spoilers, but it was okay, but not great. It was a typical cop drama. How to have sex. If you can't figure it out from the title, guys, I can't help you. 3 girls are on holiday, yes, British, and there were some tough scenes, some tough implications, but it gave me the chance to do a horrible rendition of the Salt and Pepper song for my intro, so I guess that counts for something.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. It had a couple issues, but it was mostly good. Abigail was not good. I love Catherine Newton. I love Melissa Barrera. It's bullshit what Spyglass did to her with kicking her out of Scream 7 because she didn't want innocent people getting killed. God, how dare her. But it was from the guys who did Ready or Not.
Okay.
It just didn't work. Sasquatch Sunset I hated. Absolutely hated. Didn't think that I would like it, but thought it sounded decent. Nope, terrible. There's about 4 Sasquatches living as a world constricts on them. Mm-hmm. And all that. Rebel Moon Part 2, the Scar Giver. Remember how I said the first one was my worst movie of 2023?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this didn't even crack the top 10, which gives you an idea of how that whole thing went.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just more Zack Snyder doing his own Star Wars. Boy Kills World, Bill Skarsgård as a mute with his own internal monologue, who goes to get revenge on the people that killed his family.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty good. It was another mystery movie. Low Lifes was not. It was about a family of killers. The Vampire Next Door. I thought at times it was trying to be a porno with how badly it was acted.
Oh, God.
It was also almost 2 hours long when 80 would have done. Challengers, and I saw your review, and I totally get why. I love Challengers. I thought Challengers was great. I thought Luca Guada, I can never pronounce his name.
Is that one of the guys?
The director.
Oh, the director, okay.
Yeah. Mike Feist, or however you say it, the redheaded one. Josh O'Connor was great. I thought Zendaya was really, really good. They are 3 unlikable people. I recognize that. They all have fucking flaws, and at first I wasn't sure about them jutting back and forth like they're making it a tennis match of a movie when they kept flashing back and going forward. Yeah,
you think that was done on purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
It absolutely was. Luca has a very distinct filming style. Bones and All was a prime example of it. He also did, I believe he did Suspiria, if I remember right. He did the Suspiria remake. And he has a very unique style, unique way of doing things, which will jive with some people and won't jive with others. And Challengers, it was so close between that and another movie for my favorite film of the year. But I love Challengers.
Mm-hmm.
But I get it. I get why some people didn't like it. I absolutely do. Infested is one of the best goddamn French horror movies I've seen in fucking years.
Wow.
A spider in a hotel or in an apartment complex, but it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good. Gets the body horror down correctly. Great acting. Okay, the ending's a little bit... but it works. It absolutely works. The Wendigo was about a shape-shifting Wendigo.
Mm-hmm.
I know. How shocking. For the cheapness of it, it was all right.
Okay.
It was all right. Anyway, now we're at May. God damn, we're already at May. Holy shit.
I thought for some reason Challengers came out in May. Obviously, that was late.
It
was late.
Very late April, I believe.
A lot of these movies come out earlier than I expect. Maybe just because I see a lot of them later, but that would make sense. Jean DeBerry. I have no idea what that is. That came out in May, apparently.
Yeah.
The Fall Guy, Tarot, Tarot, I believe is how you pronounce it. Taro, my bad. It's not how you pronounce it.
No, it's okay. I actually wanted to just shove a carrot up it, which probably gives you an idea how I felt about it.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, not another church movie. We Grown Now, Back to Black, If, The Strangers Chapter 1, Furiosa, the Mad Max saga, obviously the Garfield movie, Ezra Summer Camp, and Young Woman in the Sea. So of those I saw... I did not see... I watched Mad Max for the first time about a year or so ago. I did not see that one. I did see If. I did see The Strangers Chapter 1 a while later, but I did end up seeing that. I saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think that was it. So what'd you see? I know you really like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think you gave that 5 stars, didn't you?
I did give it 5 stars, which I did not expect actually to do that, because I thought, okay... Have you seen the other ones?
Yeah, I've seen of the recent trilogy or whatever. Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Well, dear God, I mean, I don't even think people outside the immediate family of the filmmakers saw most of the ones that came out after the first one. But all right, let's go quick. Because some of these I'll maybe expand on a little bit. But the Fall Guy, I hated it, and I was excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
I was very excited for the Fall Guy. Like, I thought the Fall Guy was actually going to be fun because you have goddamn Ryan Gosling and you have Emily Blunt, who is magnificently talented and an incredibly attractive woman. My personal opinion, at least. She's married to John Krasinski, who directed A Quiet Place. I didn't know that. At least for a while. But no, the Fall Guy was about 30 minutes too long. It had a great opening and fell apart. Mm-hmm. And for every joke that landed, like 5 others landed with a thud. It was disappointing, and I even saw a special screening. I try to see as many special screenings now as I can because get the content out quicker, and maybe I'll like it. Well, I didn't like the Fall Guy. Tarot was terrible. It was like if Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yes, that's how old I am, folks. That's how they opened it, and then they opened it with, and then it was like if Final Destination just went with tarot cards. Mm-hmm. People get their fortune told, and then they die in that particular way. That Avatika, the one that I mentioned from Mean Girls, she was in it. There was nobody of note, in a terrible lead character. Not even lead performance, just terrible lead character. Mm-hmm. Nobody worth rooting for. Admittedly, a couple decent death scenes, but just so bad. And I had a special screen of it, meaning I had a private screen of it because nobody else was there. Mm-hmm. Which is kind of nice.
Yeah, that's always nice when you get a quiet theater. I've been in a lot of theaters this year that were fucking loud due to kids or whatever, people on their phones or God knows what. So that's never a bad thing.
That's why I try. I mean, for me, just because of my days off, because usually I have Thursdays and Fridays off, that's why I try to see them Thursday. Because often, unless it's a kid's movie late, you're not really going to have to deal with that many kids. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
The American Society of Magic, I'm not even going to say that because I feel dirty just saying that.
Yeah.
Word. Justice Smith is a great actor. I'm going to talk about another movie that he was in just a little bit. That movie had a halfway decent idea, and it felt like it was afraid to explore any of it.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. It was an interesting trailer. I'll say that much.
It didn't. To me, it didn't work. I think it's on either Prime or Amazon. Prime or Peacock if you want to check it out. Mm-hmm. But not really great. One that I love is Mars Express, French animated movie set in the year 2200 about AI, cybernetic stuff, people getting cybernetic enhancements. It was really good. That's when I drove about 35 miles to go watch.
Oh wow!
And worth it. I think I was the only person there. It's one of those theaters where they upgraded. They upgraded the look of it. Like they got new carpet, they got new other stuff. They didn't replace the seats, and it feels like a 90s cinema with like how small the screen is and stuff like that. Like those discount theaters that you go to where you can tell, like, this used to be king before all the cineplexes really grew.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was fine. But, no, Mars Express was pretty good. I think it was, like, 85 minutes. I don't know if it's on a streaming service. It might be available for a few bucks on Amazon. I wish it explored its ideas a little more, but I really liked it. Yeah, Turtles All the Way Down is another one. It's about friends. And, it's like a coming-of-age movie. It's on Max. It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, I was surprised by how much I liked it.
Yeah, I like that movie. I mean, I liked some of the other ones more. I don't know if I was good with them ending it after the third one several years ago, but it ended up being a good movie. I thought it was good.
I was actually very surprised they suddenly did, because I decided to rewatch them. Rewatch the 2011, 2014, 2017.
Yes.
They could have just ended it at 2017. I thought they carried the story just fine. I liked the orangutan character. I thought he was pretty humorous. I wish he had lasted longer.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and they're probably going to do another one, which, it was more successful than I thought it was going to be. And I'm like, okay. And I think it's pretty obvious they based the villain on Elon Musk. I mean, God, take a look at him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like it's dead ringer.
Yeah.
Except the monkey that would actually contribute to society. But Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was really good. A big surprise. There was one called New Life. It had to do with a viral infection in some people, but one person who was seen as like patient zero didn't realize they were infected. So they were wandering around. It was very much a indie movie. It was okay. Babes was a really good one. That dealt with friendship and pregnancy and loss and stuff like that. Not loss of pregnancy, by the way, for those that are worried. But really good effort for Neon Studios. Really thought it was tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
Laughed. Had a great time. The Idea of You, that was the one with that Nicholas Gallet scene, the guy that was in Bottoms, and it had Anne Hathaway.
Okay.
As somebody taking her daughters to a concert, and she ends up hooking up with one of the guys of this boy band.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like trying to make it work. Oh, Anne Hathaway's a social, yet Anne Hathaway is fucking 10 out of 10, and it's like, and she's going to be socially awkward. I mean, I'm just saying, there are certain things I just can't.
Yeah,
like
it
when
just
they
doesn't
tried to
make
make
sense.
Rachel Lee Cook an ugly duckling, and she's all that back in 1999.
Yeah.
And I'm watching this movie, go, this isn't working. We can tell she's hot. I mean, but the Idea of You, it's not my type of movie, but it was enjoyable.
Okay.
Justice Smith, his best performance, though, was in I Saw the TV Glow from A24. That's one that I ended up liking more when I saw it again, so I actually bumped it up from an A- to an A+. It's about, like, gender identity and stuff like that, because the director is, I believe, trans. Mm-hmm. I don't know, man, woman to man. I mean, it's not important, but I mean, it's just live how you live. I don't care, folks. But I Saw a TV Glow was just another great A24 movie, and Fred Durst was in it.
Oh,
yes.
Of Limp Bizkit fame, of course.
Yes. I would have never thought that he would have been somebody that would have been a trans ally, just because of you think about how some musicians and actors are, and okay.
Hey, that's a pleasant surprise.
He was also in another A24 movie later on.
Mm-hmm.
I Saw the TV Glow was good. Really good, actually. Justice Smith had this one scene. If you see it, I think it's on Max. It's a birthday party scene, and just the absolute heartbreak on his face. Great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say, basically, as far as a little tease.
Okay.
I hated The Strangers Chapter 1. I hated it.
It was awful. It was terrible.
Rennie Harlan deserves to be sent to the gulag for what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And they did 2 more.
And they're making more.
Yeah. It's a trilogy.
Yeah, it's awful.
And it was received so badly, they pushed the other one back. I think The Strangers Chapter 2, it's going to be out it's going to be out like later this year. I don't know if this Chapter 3 is going to be out anytime soon.
That's terrible.
They could just leave. Might as well put them on screen. Back to Black, you mentioned. Yeah, go watch the 2015 Amy documentary about Amy Winehouse, because this is whitewashed bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm no fan of Amy Winehouse. I mean, I thought she was talented, but she was her own worst enemy. But just a terrible musical or musician biopic thing. And no, I did not see A Complete Unknown, guys. I only have so many hours in the day.
Mm-hmm.
If was terrible. I don't understand how in the world that was not just shoved on streaming.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, fun fact, I saw the TV Glow, Back to Black, and If were watched. I saw the TV Glow, Strangers Chapter 1, and If, that I saw back to back to back. And I actually had to reroute around a shooting on the freeway
Mm-hmm.
that blocked everybody off because somebody got upset at construction workers. Don't worry, the construction workers are fine. It was just a shooter. But yeah, that what should have been a 30-mile trip home turned into like 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was fun to watch If and deal with that. Killer Body Count, some slasher on Tubi.
Okay.
Think? Ezra. It had to do with a guy who had a son that was autistic and wanted to have his son be seen as normal. And the words of the people in the movie. This is not mine. But it was decent. It had some funny moments. It had a couple heartbreaking moments, but it felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be. That was another mystery movie. The Wages of Fear, a remake of a terrific 1953-55 French film. But unfortunately, the Netflix one isn't good. Don't know why they decided to make it action-y.
Mm.
Aaron Eckhart was in something called The Bricklayer. Rennie Harlan also did that. About as basic of an action movie as you can get. Furiosa, Mad Max Saga. I loved it. I thought Anya Taylor-Joy, who I love and adore, was great in it.
It was a worthy follow-up. I know it was a prequel, technically, but
oh,
it
hell
was
yeah.
good. Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. They did a great job expanding on it. There was a scene in it, a long action scene called Stairway to Nowhere, I think is what they called it, according to IMDb. Worth it. Absolutely just so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
So fucking good. Loved it. She was great. Chris Hemsworth was great as the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And it expanded on enough where you don't have to see the, Fury Road to watch this, but it helps. And it ties right back in. And I just wish it succeeded better at the box office.
Yeah, it did not do well. Yeah.
It did okay, but for the budget, it's like, my God, like, really? And go right to another one, Garfield the movie. This movie made $250 million at the box office. Why? And I love Garfield.
I mean, they came out Memorial Day, too, so, I mean, kids may have seen it that weekend, to be fair.
It actually did better. It did well internationally before it even got over here, so it was already making its budget back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's the thing that surprised me. And, yeah, that was it. I hated it because it looked like shit, and it wasn't funny, and Chris Pratt's involved, and it wasn't a Super Mario Brothers movie, so it wasn't good. Atlas had to do with Jennifer Lopez, who acts as well as she sings and sings as well as she acts, as far as I'm concerned. She didn't like AI, but had to bond with AI to save herself on a distant planet. Why are so many movies based around AI?
Probably written by AI.
You wouldn't be far off, actually, given the nature of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was very badly written and performed. Sunrise was a vampire movie. Guy Pearce was in it. God, I remember when Guy Pearce was in good movies. This never happened. Yeah, I wish it didn't. It was a party that ended in violence, and they were trying to cover it. Kind of like I Know What You Did Last Summer, but taking place in one location.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing another I Know What You Did Last Summer for some reason. And the final one, In a Violent Nature. Follow the killer's perspective as he hunts people in Canada. Well, it was a good idea. It had one neat kill that I call the yoga kill.
Mm-hmm.
It was terrible. It was
terrible. Okay. Now we might watch it soon. Alexis had that on her list of movies to watch, so I mean, I'll keep an eye out for it.
You'll see what I mean if you end up watching it. So now I guess we're at June.
We're at June now, yeah.
Jesus.
Let's see. Starting off June, they had Bad Boys Ride or Die, The Watchers, Inside Out 2, The Bike Riders, The Exorcism, Thelma, Horizon, and American Saga, Quiet Place, Day 1. And those were all the major releases. I ended up seeing A Quiet Place, I think, that week. I think I saw it on 4th of July. And I saw Inside Out 2. The Day 1 movie, the Quiet Place movie sequel or prequel, whatever, was good. I didn't think it was like amazing, but I thought it was good. And I thought Inside Out 2 was great. I know you gave that 5 stars, so I'm going to get your thoughts on that and the rest of the June releases.
So I'll just go through some of these really quickly. I know, as I say, Summer Camp. God, that was one of the many movies with Diane Keaton and other old actresses where they basically, it's like elder abuse watching this shit. Kathy Bates was in it, and I'm like, I just don't understand why these proud actors are in this. I mean, besides the payday, it was squirm-inducingly awful. She came back. A girl goes in a coma and reflects on her dead mother, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm struggling to really remember much. She came back. I wish she didn't. Deadbolt. Somebody suspects that something's going on in their house, that something bad is happening. Roadkill. Oh, God. I think Roadkill had to do with people stuck at a diner. It was like a... No. Roadkill was that really, really bad... God, it was like a revenge thriller thing that had some of the worst acting and fight scenes that I've seen in fucking years. If you have a minute, go Roadkill movie 2024, 2023. Look at the poster if you can while I go through the rest of that. But it was terrible. Bad Boys Ride or Die. I rewatched the other Bad Boys movies.
That looks like it came out in 2003, the Roadkill movie, the poster.
Yeah, and the sad thing is that's even kind of, being kind to it because the acting was barely better than something in the 80s.
Yeah.
I watched, the first Bad Boys was decent. Second Bad Boys wasn't that great. Bad Boys 3, Bad Boys for Life, was better than I remember. Bad Boys Ride or Die just felt so unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Like, why? Like, I mean, yeah, it made money, but it's like Lethal Weapon 4. They are getting too old for this shit. I hated The Watchers. M. Night needs to be sent to the gulag for giving his daughters a platform. Mm-hmm. Not the one that was in Trap. She can sing, but go stick to singing. Shauna, I think, is the one that did The Watchers.
Oh, okay. I didn't know you had two daughters. I only had one. Yeah,
no, it's two. Well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. I'm sure they're lovely people. They just can't act or make films. But you had Dakota Fanning's in it. Again, Georgina Campbell. Well, Georgina Campbell love on this particular show. Mm-hmm. And then there's that old lady that was in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Netflix one. Olin, I can't even remember her last name. Very British, very old. Looked like she was around when the original Salem witch trials happened. That's mean. She was also in Tarot, but good God. But The Watchers had a neat little idea about people in a box house being watched by weird creatures in the woods. Unfortunately, if you even think about it for 2 minutes, you are going to guess exactly where it's going, and then it goes exactly where you think it's going to go. Not good. Not the worst M. Night thing, or not the worst M. Night or Shyamalan involved thing that I saw this year. Hitman, I did not like.
I saw Hitman. I thought it was fine, but yeah, it wasn't like a movie I would. I didn't like it as much as most people. I think it was pretty well reviewed, I believe, but it
got a lot of
good.
praise.
Yeah, I was surprised by them.
And I like Glenn Powell. I don't think Glenn Powell's a bad actor. Just didn't care for it. Under Paris. It's a French shark movie that, boy, it tried to do too much while not doing anything at the same time. It was almost impressive how they did that.
That was a Netflix movie, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a mess. That third act is especially a mess. Housekeeping for Beginners. I think Focus Features did. I think it's on Peacock. It has to do with it's a family drama. loss, love, all that. Pretty good. I might have praised it a little bit too much. I probably should have given it 4 stars instead of what I gave it, because I think I gave it a little bit more, because it was a little uneven, but it had a lot of really good acting and some good emotional moments. Paradise was like a Western pseudo-assassin type thing set in Hawaii or some island nation. It's on Tubi. It was all right. Clickbait Unfollowed. That was a influencer-based horror movie. One of, I think, 10 influencer-based horror movies that I've seen this year.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't know why they kept doing it, because this featured terrible special effects and terrible act. They were at a house, and they all had to they had their secrets exposed. Tuesday, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I don't know why I had to think about that name. She's going to lose her daughter, and there's this weird parrot that shows up that's like, the angel of death, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That talks like Dr. Claw and Inspector Gadget. Again, like 5 people might get that. Really good, really big gut punch, like as far as stuff that's going on, but uneven. It wasn't the best A24 effort, but yeah, Inside Out 2, I fucking loved.
Yeah, I know you. Yeah, you love that movie. Yeah,
way more than the first one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why the part, and I mean, sorry guys, but it's a Disney movie. The part where
the anxiety thing.
At the end.
Yeah. Yes, I knew immediately
that got me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that part was really good, because I think we can all identify with that.
Mm-hmm.
Even as adults.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was really good. I thought it expanded on the story fine, took it in not even a new direction, but just in a direction that worked. I thought it was more than a worthy sequel, and no wonder it was the highest grossing movie of the year.
Yeah, it was very successful. It was very good. It was a great movie.
Trim season had to do with people going to a weed farm, and then it turned out that that everything was not what it was cracked up to be. So I think it's on Shudder. I don't know. Latency. A girl's in her apartment, gets some kind of new VR video game headset thing. She's dealing with loss, and then the video game thing starts to take over. I think, I don't actually think the movie knew what it wanted to be. It was horrible. I drove 30 miles and paid money to watch that, and it was out on Tubi in 2 months. The Bike Riders you mentioned, I watched that as a mystery movie, and it aesthetically looked great, and it was boring as fuck. I mean, Tom Hardy talks weird. I don't know how to describe it.
Okay.
He's in it. Austin Butler, the one that played Elvis.
Yeah. He's also in Dune as well. Dune 2.
Yeah, he was who I called not Pinhead. But good crowd or a good cast, good good aesthetic look. It really looked like it was plucked out of late 60s, early 70s. It's just boring as shit. Deadly Invitation. Oh, that was some slasher thing. I don't remember. Thelma.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
What was that about?
That was an old lady gets scammed out of money thinking that it's her grandson. So she goes on a journey to try and get her money back. Okay. Malcolm McDowell is in it. He what's left of him at this point. That's mean, but Malcolm McDowell was in it. Fred Heischner. He played the grandson. June Squibb, she was really good. It was the last movie that Richard Roundtree was in before his passing.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a comedy with there were some tender moments to it about how old people don't want to be forgotten or pushed to the side.
Mm-hmm.
Because June Squibb alone, she was born in 1929. So I mean, it was good typecasting. But yeah, that was it wasn't something that was going to set the world on fire, but it was fun. I think it got a little more praise than it should have gotten, but I thought it was good.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it a B plus.
Okay.
Handling the undead. Dead people come back to life. Specifically focuses around 3 families. The young lady I say young lady, I think she's within a few years of me, but Renee, I don't know how to pronounce her name. She's Norwegian. She was in it. She was in The Worst Person in the World, and also A Different Man. It takes a little bit too much, a little bit too long to get going. I think it could have worked better if they maybe would have moved it along, especially for only being 97 minutes long. It tries to have a payoff at the end, and you're like, okay, that's it. The Exorcism, another Exorcism movie with Russell Crowe, and it was bad. It was really bad. The Post-Exorcist was better, but not by much. This was like dealing with alcoholism and stuff like that, and boy, geez, that must have been difficult for Russell Crowe to deal with. Get into that role, Russell. That's mean. It wasn't scary. It wasn't moving at all. The Beast had Lea Seydoux in it, or however you say her name. She was the other one that was in Blue is the Warmest Color. She was also in the Bond movies, the most recent ones.
Was she Bond's love interest in that movie, or no?
What's that?
Was she Bond's love interest in the new movies? Or is that something else?
One of them,
okay.
I think. Yeah, I'm trying.
And maybe the last one. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, beautiful French actress.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Spectre in No Time to Die, yeah.
Yes, yeah, I think
she was also in Dune Part 2.
Oh, she was in Dune too as well? Oh, I think I knew that. I think I saw the movie and I was like, oh yeah, that's she was in Bond or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, she was in it doesn't hurt good. My God, she's almost 40 years old. I wouldn't have believed it.
Wow.
But The Beast was like, it was a weird sci-fi bendy thing about like identity and memories and a society that wants to make people happy or something like that. It was a little weird. Ghostlight was really, really good. It was a family drama about a dad that loses his job, is dealing with loss, gets into a theatrical production of Romeo and Juliet, and ends up kind of exploring some of the loss and stuff that he's been dealing with. Trigger Warning. Trigger Warning had Jessica Alba in it. That movie should have come with a trigger warning. It wasn't good at all. I don't know why they thought making her an action star at this point was a good idea. Faceless After Dark featured, oh, God damn it. Shit. Faceless After Dark.
Was that a streaming movie, or did that come out in theaters?
It was. I'm trying to remember. Jenna Cannell. She, the first Terrifier. She was in the first Terrifier.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, yeah.
Okay, but she's like trying to overcome the fact that she's been typecast in slashers and she has stalker fans, but then kind of turns the tables on those stalker fans, those mean fans. Not a world beater of a movie, but a lot more fun than I expected. I hated A Quiet Place Day One.
Oh wow, okay.
I love Lupita Nyong'o. What a fucking talent. But just my goodness, I mean, for some, Alex Wolff was in it. Joseph Quinn was in it. Jaimin Hanzu. A great cast. I just felt like it was unnecessary.
It is, yeah, it's definitely unnecessary. They took a concept that's cool, but they don't need this whole universe building nonsense type stuff with it.
Remember A Quiet Place Part 2, when they showed what happened, with when the aliens first landed. To me, they did a better job there than they did here because, you can focus on the characters if you have characters. I get why some people like it. I just didn't.
Okay.
And one more, Kinds of Kindness. That was from the guy that did Poor Things. It was like a trick tech, however the hell you say it. It was like a 3-part story with a few interweaving characters and people playing different characters, but there was a central theme.
Yeah. Emma Stone's in this one too. Okay.
Yes. Emma Stone, Jesse Plemons.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe.
Yes.
Okay, they were, just Emma and Willem Dafoe obviously were both in Poor Things. That makes sense.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also Yorgos Lanthimos, I think is how you say his name. He's a really good director, but he's very out there. This was definitely more of his art house style. Poor Things was more accessible to a wider audience to me. Kinds of Kindness, I could see why people wouldn't. I could see why people would have some issues with it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple issues. I thought it was a little bit too long, but I thought mostly it worked.
Mm-hmm.
But now July, God, we're halfway through the year. Good Lord.
Yeah, I know. We get into Despicable Me 4. That started the month for major releases. Maxine. I know Beverly Hills Cop. I know you have a lot to say about that. That came out on Netflix around that time as well. Fly Me to the Moon. Long Legs came out that month. Twisters, My Spy, I think that was the Batista sequel, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was that Batista movie.
Yes.
That came out on.
I did not see that one, just so you guys know.
Okay, yeah, no, I haven't seen that either. And that was just the sequel to the movie that he was in a couple years earlier.
Yeah.
But Twisters came out, Deadpool and Wolverine, Fabulous 4, and DD. So I saw Deadpool and Wolverine, love that movie. Twisters I actually liked. More than the original, and I know you feel the opposite, so I want to get your thoughts on that. And then Maxine I saw a while later, which I did not like as much as the other two, which we talked about before we hit record here. But
Sure.
What do you got for July?
Well, quite a few, so we'll go through this quickly. I know as I say that, and then we get off on sidetracks. I'll say this. I did not see Deadpool and Wolverine, not because I wasn't interested, but just because, guys, 336 movies, again, even the big ones are going to go by. The Devil's Bath was like something set in Romania sometime in the 18th century. It was about an arranged marriage and a woman losing her mind. It was pretty good, psychologically damning. Very artsy horror. It's on Shudder. Maxine, I'll be perfectly honest. Had it not been for Mia Goth, Halsey, who I thought was great, or Halsey, however the hell you say her goddamn name.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon, there were good performances. There were good elements. I just felt that after X and Pearl, which I felt Pearl was superior, it had issues. The third act in particular stumbled. It felt like it tried to be something different by taking it to the 80s. It just didn't quite know what it wanted to be. It just, I liked it, but it's like the more I think about it, the more I'm a little down on it. That's why I gave it a decent grade, but I probably should have given it a B instead of a B+. But I still gave it a decent mark.
Yeah, not bad.
It just, compared to the others. Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Yeah, let's just make a sequel to... Yeah, okay, the first one was fine. The second one was okay. The third one sucked ass. And this one was terrible. Like, Eddie Murphy got paid $30 million, apparently, for this.
That's crazy.
Because Netflix is just going to throw money at stuff, and it's just... Yeah, they tried to kind of tie back into, like, a couple of the other characters. Taggart was in it, for those that have seen it. But just, to me, I knew it wasn't going to be good. But my God, I didn't think it was going to be this, like, bland. Just bland and just boring. And people's like, oh, maybe they'll make a fifth one. God, no, please, no, don't, stop. Don't make another one. You didn't see that, though.
No, I didn't see that, no.
I think the other ones are on Paramount, if I remember right. A Family Affair. Nicole Kidman hooking up with Zac Efron, who's like a big celebrity, and Joey King is the daughter. And okay, that's a good one. That's a good hydra of talent. Because Joey King's good. She just needs a better agent. Especially for a movie I'm going to talk about later in this. But yeah, A Family Affair is just an unfunny mess of a Netflix rom-com. Heart of the Hunter was like some South African revenge flick that probably would have worked if it had not been shit. The Legend of Lake Hollow. Hey, friends, let's get together and put on a movie. That's pretty much what it is. Some of the cast members actually reached out to me on Twitter, or on YouTube, and I felt so bad because I knocked them. I didn't hate any of the people. I wish them nothing but success. But I said, this movie is not good. And they were thanking me for watching. I go, God, I feel so terrible, because they probably tried their best.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is sometimes.
Monolith, that had the main girl from Evil Dead Rise in it. She was kind of dealing with an omnipresent or a presence that was going to attack her. Cell phone had to do with a killer's cell phone ending up in the wrong hands and then running away. And wait, no, that was Bad Connection. Cell phone had to do with, I think it said a farmhouse, and there was weird shit going on.
Mm-hmm.
Again, sorry, guys, I've watched so many movies. Fly Me to the Moon was great.
Yeah, I know you gave high praise to that one. You gave it 5 stars, I think, right?
Yeah, I did not expect to do that. I mean, I thought it might be entertaining, but you have Scarlett Johansson, who can absolutely pull off the 60s look. My God, boy, howdy. And Channing Tatum, they had great chemistry. It was great stuff. It didn't make a dent at the box office. It cost way too much money. I think like $100 million. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah.
But I saw a special screen. That was very entertaining, very, very well done, very well paced. It's not the most amazing flick I've seen, but it was very good. Mr. Sleep, it was like if Freddy Krueger was an idiot. Longlegs. How dare Neon Studios botch this? The advertising was insane.
Mm-hmm.
Nicolas Cage with it. Let's channel Silence of the Lambs. Oh, here's Micah Monroe from It Follows. And she plays another comatose individual here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she's nice, but I'm sorry, I just don't get it with her. I was very disappointed by Longlegs. I wanted that to be good. I was excited. I was into it.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
I sat down.
I figured that would be a movie that you would really like. I didn't see it myself, but I heard it was really good, and I'm surprised that you didn't like it. That feels like a type of movie that you would really like.
I wanted to. I really wanted to, but about 40 minutes in, I'm like, this isn't good. This isn't.
How long was it?
Hour and 50?
Okay, that's not too bad.
I mean, I think it was. Let's see. Oh, an hour and 41 minutes. Good Lord. But no, see, it was divisive among some audiences. Those who liked it, but those who didn't, they really ran it into the ground. I was just mostly disappointed. It just should have been better than it was. Mm-hmm. Space Cadet. I think that was Emma Roberts wanting to become an astronaut.
Interesting.
Yeah, send her into space for what she did to Evan Peters, as far as I'm concerned. Amazon. That's on Amazon. Bloodline Killer. The mask of the killer looked cool, and it didn't make a lot of sense because I was like, wait, the killer's that person, and wait, why are they doing this? And oh, okay. Bag of Lies. I've watched a lot of bag-related horror movies. My God, I've watched a lot of similar-sounding horror movies. Bag of Lies, I think, had to do with putting somebody in a bag to revive them. I think that's what it was. Yeah, you put them in there, and they you can get your favorite person back, but they might not be the same person. Mm-hmm. Robot Dreams. Magnificent animated movie from Neon Studios. I think in French and Spain. No dialogue. It was about a dog that lives in New York City that gets a robot companion. They get separated, and you will have Earth, Wind, and Fire September stuck in your head forever because of that movie.
Good song.
I loved it. No, I thought it was great. Mm-hmm. I thought Robot Dreams is great. I wish it would have done better at the box office. Sing Sing. Give Coleman Domingo every goddamn A-list role he asked for. It's set at Sing Sing prison. Some of the people involved were actual former prisoners of Sing Sing. A24 did a great job. Domingo was great. His co-star was also very good. It was like 100 minutes, but it was paced beautifully, well acted, comedic, heartbreaking. I loved it. Sing Sing was great. Tyler Perry's Divorce in the Black. Yeah, okay. Just put Tyler Perry in the bin and send him over Niagara Falls for this. If you check out Divorce in the Black TikTok, if you Google it, I'm not saying right now, there's a grocery store scene that literally was better than what they did in the movie. It was so badly acted and so badly laid out. I couldn't believe it. I was like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Mm-hmm. This is a rib. They had a funeral scene, in the beginning of the movie, that I was like, is this a comedy? It was Mia Culpa looked like Citizen Kane next to that.
Mm-hmm.
Vanished into the night. God, I think that had to do with a couple looking for their child. Stranger in the Woods. Some slasher, I think. Twisters. I mean, I get why you feel the way you do. I think it's also a bit of a generational thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was 15 when the first Twister came out, and I loved it. Now, it has its flaws. It has its issues. It has its problems. Like, the fact that it's goofy and everything and silly, and Philip Seymour Hoffman was inspired by Soundgarden Spoon Man. My God, what is wrong with me? But Bill Paxton couldn't come back on account of him having been dead since 2016. And Helen Hunt, they couldn't bring her back. Glenn Powell is very good. Daisy Edgar-Jones is very good. I don't like how they treated Kiernan Shipka in the beginning.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. My thing is it felt like fan service of the original. I just didn't think that it was necessary. It made enough money.
Oh, definitely not necessary, yeah.
It did well enough where they could do a sequel if they want, but dear God, please don't. It was a nice popcorn blockbuster for people, but I just didn't care for it.
Mm-hmm.
But Oddity had to do with a weird mannequin type entity that was going to seek revenge for somebody, and it was sitting at a house. It was basically like a one-location shoot. It was a Shudder original that got a limited theatrical release. It was atmospheric, but it wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
A Song from the Dark. God, I don't even remember. I think that had something to do with an ancient song that foretold evil coming back for a family or something. Last Night at Terrace Lanes, a comedy horror movie about the last night that the bowling alley was open, and it was an interesting concept. Horrible execution. Cult Killer. Did you ever see a movie called ATM?
Yes, actually I did. That was that Netflix movie, right? Like from 10 years ago or something?
It was on Netflix. I don't know if it was actually a Netflix original.
Oh, okay. But I did watch it, though.
Yeah, the blonde that was in it, Alice Eve, she was in it. I think she was in it. I think she was. God forbid. Antonio Banderas was in it. The thing is, I didn't expect much from the movie. Yeah, it was her. Alice Eve was in this. It didn't know what it wanted to be. First, it was going to focus on this killer doing this stuff in particular, and then it tried to go in a couple different directions. And I don't know what Banderas is doing in this movie. Humane. Hey, if you had to choose which family member to die to control the population, what would you do? That was a question asked in this movie. It was never answered, but whatever. Kill was some Indian action movie set on a train mainly. It was actually pretty good, all things considered. And House of Screaming Glass. I don't know why they made this an hour and 50 minutes when it had enough material for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. I don't get it. I think that is it for July.
For July, yeah. Well, August 2nd kicks off with Harold and the Purple Crayon. I didn't see that.
I didn't watch that.
I didn't see that either. Kneecap, Trap. We'll talk about Trap for sure. Borderlands. Is it Cuckoo or Cuckoo? What is that movie?
Is what now? I'm sorry, after what?
Cuckoo or Cuckoo? It's Cuckoo, right?
Cuckoo.
Okay, yeah. I don't know why I mispronounced that.
It's all right.
It ends with Us, the Blake Lively movie. Let's see. Alien Romulus, My Penguin Friend, Blink Twice, The Crow. Let's see. Alfred. I don't know what that is.
Afraid.
Oh,
it was about AI, but it was just stupidly spelled.
I just can't read.
No, it was stupidly spelled. Don't worry.
It's stupid. Slingshot and You Gotta Believe. Obviously, those are the biggest ones. Trap was atrocious. I actually liked Blink Twice a lot. I know you didn't like that one. We'll get into why in a sec, but It Ends With Us was obviously the one that had a lot of controversy around it. And Borderlands, I did not see it, but it was awful. And Alien Romulus, I actually liked a lot too. So, give me your thoughts on August.
Trap, terrible. I mean, my God. My God. What was this?
We may have been among the few that did not like that movie, because when it first came out, there were a lot of people that loved it, and I did not understand why. That was just fucking awful. That was probably my worst movie of the year.
Yeah, they were trying to enjoy it ironically. You know what's sad? Trap isn't even my worst movie of the year. I mean, you know what it is. I told you off recording.
Yeah.
But Trap was just, even if it was meant to be satire, it wasn't good satire. It wasn't enjoyable. They did not pace this well. And his daughter, your husband's the butcher. God, how many takes did they do of this? My God. You God, stick to singing. Jesus. And Josh Hartnett was giving it his all. Give him credit for that. But I think M. Night at this point is just making movies as a rib, as a joke at this. I just cannot imagine that he said, yeah, this is a good idea. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Like, what in the goddamn hell? Like, yeah, and I don't blame you for making Trap your worst movie of the year, because it was god-awful.
Yeah, it was. I was mildly interested to see what they would do with it, and I wasn't expecting it to be great or anything, but the acting was not good.
Neither was I.
None of it made any sense whatsoever, and the ending was not good. It was just a lot of trash.
It was like they kept throwing just every curveball at us just to see, like, if like anything would hit. It's like we just wished that somebody would have smacked the curveball back into M. Night's head.
Yeah, I was just waiting for it. I was waiting for the curve to end, for the movie to end. It was just that bad. Just kept going.
Again, his daughter. I'm sorry, she can sing. Stick to fucking singing. I felt bad for the girl, the one that played the daughter, because she did all right. But yeah, Trap was horrendous, and actually didn't meet my very low expectations. What did was Kneecap, actually. It was about an Irish rap group called Kneecap, and they actually play themselves in the movie. And it's about keeping the Irish language, the old Irish language, alive. It's really good. I will say this, you definitely make sure you pay attention to the subtitles, because it not only is in Irish, even when they speak English, it's such thick Irish accents. But it's good. It's really, really good. I really enjoyed Nightcap. I had a lot of fun with Nightcap. Or Kneecap, I mean.
Yeah,
I felt like I needed a nightcap after Trap, I mean. Yeah. But Kneecap, very good. I don't know what streaming service it's on, but it's very, very well done. The music's catchy, even if it's not my cup of tea. But they did some great stuff. Night of the Harvest. There was something called Don't Look in the Basement or Stay Out of the Basement or something. I don't remember.
Wasn't it just Don't Look or something?
I think it was Don't Look in the Basement. Okay. The whole point is that apparently this movie was delayed because of, like, drought issues, and they were going to shoot it in a cornfield. They should have left the fucking movie in a cornfield along with everybody else, as far as I'm concerned. But they did an origin story thing and then did this, but I think that Basement movie was 75 minutes. Okay, bad horror movie, but short. This was just over 2 hours. And I slammed into it, and I said, who the fuck thought this was a good idea? If the director happens to be watching this, were you on acid? That wasn't good. It was a bad harvest this year. The Coffee Table, I found hilarious because it was about a husband who bought a coffee table, and they have a new kid, and then certain things occur, and it's hilarious. It's not meant to be hilarious, but I laughed at it. It was a fun Spanish horror movie. The Mousetrap, oh boy. Hey, Steamboat Willie Mickey got in the public domain, so let's make a bad horror movie out of it. No, really, that's what it was. Featuring some of the worst CGI I've seen. I think it's on Peacock. I actually was almost astonished by how bad it was. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2, shockingly, I mean, that's a little bit later. That was not on my worst list, by the way.
Yeah, that was actually better than the original, significantly better. Not a good movie still, but it was better than the original by a pretty wide margin, I'd say.
I liked the pretty girls in the first one, but yeah, that was really about it. The storybook openings were good, and that's it. That's where most of the budget went. So let's get back to August. Frogman. Yeah, it was about a frogman creature, and it was found footage. Like an urban legend thing. It was all right. Borderlands was horrible. I love Cate Blanchett. What a fucking talent. Jamie Lee Curtis. What a talent. Kevin Hart. Go back to Munchkinland. Ariana Greenblatt, the little girl from Barbie. She was in it, but this thing was delayed. It wrapped shooting sometime in 2021, and they decided to do reshoots.
Yep.
And I don't remember I think it was the original director of Deadpool or Deadpool 2, one of the two, I don't remember. But Eli Roth couldn't do the reshoots because he was shooting Thanksgiving. I've never played the Borderlands games. I've watched playthroughs. It was a mess. It was like, there's no way it could have succeeded. It still wasn't as bad as another goddamn movie that Lionsgate released in August. So you didn't see Borderlands, or you did?
I did not see it. I heard it was awful. Obviously a massive failure. I was just surprised. I don't know how many great movies he's made, but Eli Roth made this movie, and I really like Thanksgiving. That came out the year before, so.
Yeah.
This is
Eli Roth, to me, is a director that I think a lot of horror fans pump up because they think that he understands horror. I don't think he does.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think that the guy gets overhyped. I don't think he's horrible, but I think he needs to be controlled. Like, Thanksgiving was entertaining enough. I mean, I gave it, I think, 3.5 stars, but 3.5, I don't remember. But yeah, Borderlands, I mean, it didn't matter who the director was. Cuckoo was a movie I should have loved. Hunter Schafer is great. She's tremendous. It was from Neon Studios. It had a cool, crazy horror, theme about it, about weird shit going on in the French Alps at a hotel. And it had a couple cool moments, but unfortunately the movie was just totally inconsistent and a mess, and I didn't like it. And Neon Studios struck out more this year than I thought they would. Between that and Longlegs, I'm getting a little bit worried about Neon Studios. Dee Dee, though, was great. Dee Dee is not about Dexter's sister in Dexter's Laboratory, by the way, guys. A young man. Japanese or Korean? I wish I remembered, but it's set in the late 2000s. It's a coming of age thing taking place during the summer, and pretty good. The young lad that played him was really good. I thought there were some good performances. I thought the pacing was nice. I thought that it captured the period pretty well. Hard to believe it's been that long ago. It had a couple issues. I think there were a couple character motivations that made me question, like, okay, really, is that where we're going? Why are we going there? But mostly, I gave it like 4.5. I think 4.5 stars.
Oh wow.
So it worked. What I also really liked was Sirocco and the Kingdom of the Winds. French, I believe it's French, animated movie. It's like Studio Ghibli-like. Two girls get in a storybook and are, missing their, they're missing their mom. I mean, their mom's alive, but they want to find a way back to their time, but also they find out that there's other familial stuff going on there. It was beautifully told, and it was really short. I think it was like 80 minutes. But it was really good. I drove like 40 miles again to go see it. I drove a lot of miles to go see these movies. But that's really good. I don't know what streaming service is on. You might have to check Amazon, but it's really, really worth watching. Very Studio Ghibli-like, as I said. Stupid Games. I mean, there was a bunch of people that filmed the movie, I think, for like about $10,000 or something like that. I might be thinking of something else. But play stupid games, win stupid prizes. That's pretty much what the movie is. Skincare had who the fuck was that goddamn thing? Elizabeth something or other. Skincare movie. Elizabeth Banks. She basically is a skincare owner, and then it gets a little bit weird when a competition moves in, and I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this. This is another one I saw a special screen of, and it just wasn't entertaining or scary or good.
Mm-hmm.
The Black Mass, fuck, I don't even remember. I don't remember at all. It obviously wasn't that important. Maybe it had something to do with, like, a bad church sermon. No, I don't think it had to do with that. There is a monster. Look, the idea of dealing with an illness that is coming up upon you that you can't stop is fine. It just wasn't a horror movie. Alien Romulus, practical effects, great. Kaylee Spaney, great. You saw that.
I did. That one I did see, yeah.
How in the world did the android know that get away from her, you bitch line? I have so many questions.
Oh, yeah, I can get that.
It looked cool, but it was hollow. I really did not like Alien Romulus.
Okay.
But again, great practical effects. Fede Alvarez, the guy that did the 2013 Evil Dead, wanted to go more of a throwback. He also did Don't Breathe, I think, in Don't Breathe 2. He understands the elements of horror as far as that. So that was good, but just everything else didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Jackpot was the bad John Cena comedy with John Cena and Awkwafina.
That was Prime, too?
That was Prime.
Oh, wow.
If I had to pay to watch that, I would have hunted Awkwafina down and said, "What the fuck do you think you're doing?" I don't know if you know who she is.
Yeah, no, she's been in a bunch of stuff I've seen. She was in the Little Mermaid movie as well.
Oh, God, jeez, that's right. She was Scuttle.
Yeah, she
Made
was
me
Scuttle,
never want to see a seagull ever again. She was good in one movie, and that was Renfield, in my personal opinion. I hated Jackpot, even though the concept of a lottery, all that was good. A lottery, and you hunt down the winner, and you could win their prize, but it was terrible. The Union, that was some action comedy on Netflix. The Union. God damn it. There were two pretty good actors in that, or maybe I'm just thinking of something else. The Union had Halle Berry and Mark Wahlberg. My God, and Dana Delaney, who is still alive. That's amazing. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking with that. And Halle Berry's made some questionable choices, but Borderless Fog was some Indonesian horror movie that, it was all right, I guess. French Girl was one of those rom-com things that I think Zach Braff was in it. Wasn't very good. National Anthem was really good. That was about a boy discovering himself going to a ranch that was run by queer people. And I think the main actress is trans, if I remember right. But it was really good. It was something I meant to go see in theaters, but saw on streaming later. Really well performed. Couple issues, but well performed. Mm-hmm. Sleeping Dogs. Russell Crowe had memory issues and tried to figure out what was going on with this particular case. And yeah, it was pretty obvious where it was going because I've seen a movie in my lifetime. Prey. My God, what the hell was that? Oh, Prey was one. Remember when Ryan Felipe was actually in Good Stuff?
I don't know who that is. I don't think.
Cruel Intentions.
Haven't seen
I Know
it.
What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, the original one?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe, I've seen that, so.
Yeah, he was Ryan Felipe. What the hell else was he in recently? He was the one that was married to Reese Witherspoon, and for some reason, yeah, he was in Cruel Intentions. I Know What You Did Last Summer. He's in The Shooter TV. Sir, what? Wow. Nevertheless, it was a lion movie. And Mina Savari, who was in American Beauty, was in that. Yeah, it was I don't know what the fuck they were doing there. Scrambled had to do with the lady freezing her eggs because she thought about maybe possibly having kids, or she didn't want to have kids. Others could use them if their eggs weren't that good. Mm-hmm. Pretty moving. Actually, pretty good stuff. Fun comedy. Some good emotional stuff. I didn't like Blink Twice. I just didn't. I thought the concept was wasted. Mm-hmm. You liked it.
I did, yeah. I did. I thought it was better than I thought it was. I didn't really know what it was about, honestly, so I liked it for that reason.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz directed it, actually, oddly enough. I I see what they were trying to say, but I mean, maybe it's just because I've seen so many movies with similar, maybe not similar themes, but horror themes. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Blink Twice didn't work for me, though it was certainly better than the next movie that I watched right after, The Crow. Oh, dear me. I maintain that the original Crow would not be remembered as well had it not been for the fact that Brandon Lee unfortunately passed away. Because I rewatched it, and it's a good movie, but it has issues. Bill Skarsgård has made questionable choices. And I don't know who the fuck FKA Twigs is. But apparently she was she's a singer. She was the lead actress with him in that. Though I read up, and apparently she was the one that Shia LaBeouf was not a very nice individual to, so I feel bad for her there. Mm-hmm. But she's not an actress. I'm sorry. She's just not. Mm-hmm. And it felt like they plucked so many elements from the 90s. And besides one scene in an opera house, it was such a mess. Mm-hmm. Lionsgate took a bath on that in Borderlands. I think The Crow cost $50 million. I think it didn't even make half that at the worldwide box office. Mm-hmm. It was bad. Strange Darling wasn't, though. Strange Darling was really, really good. Willa Fitzgerald was tremendous in that. Kyle, God damn it. God damn it. Strange Darling. Kyle something or other. Kyle Gallner. Remember Smile?
Yeah, of course.
The guy that was in that.
Oh, okay.
The main guy that was in it. It was like a cat and mouse game. In Strange Darling, but so well filmed. Giovanni Ribisi, however you say his name, did the filming, or did the 35 millimeter style filming almost, and it was just so well done and so expertly paced. It kept its twists and turns going. Just when you thought you figured it out, it went somewhere else. Mm-hmm. I really liked it. I thought Strange Darling was great. Hellhole. It's a family of filmmakers, a husband and wife and their kids, mainly their one daughter, and they make on-the-cheap horror movies, but they actually understand pacing and how to make films. They don't just do it for vanity projects. This isn't as good as some of their other stuff, but it was all right. Mm-hmm. It was more a throwback. The Killer, it's on Peacock. The Killer... God damn it. Killer, I can never remember who the girl is. Nathalie Emmanuel. She was in that vampire movie, The Invitation. And she's a really good actress. I just don't understand what she was doing in this. It was a remake. It was John Woo's remake of his other film that he did back in '89 or something. It was on Peacock, and yeah, it certainly deserved to be shoved out on a streaming service. Jonah, God, that had something to do with a kid that thought he was an alien, I think. Mother of the Bride, God, that had Brooke Shields and Benjamin Bratt in it. That's about all I remember. Milk and Cereal was something I discovered that people told me it was like a 62-minute horror movie made for a few $100 by a couple guys that run a comedy channel.
Was it decent?
Called That's a Bad Idea. Milk and Cereal. Cereal is in Serial Killer.
Oh, okay.
And actually, it was pretty good. It was. I mean, there were certainly parts where I'm like, oh, that's really cheap. Mm-hmm. But the lead actor, who's one of the guys running the channel, has a perfect face for horror, and I mean that with respect. He just has a perfect creepy smile. It was pretty good. It's free on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Afraid was more a Blumhouse bullshit. Havana Rose Liu, I think is how you say her name. She was in Bottoms. She voices an AI that takes over, and I don't think the movie knew what it wanted to be because it felt like it was edited with garden shears. Like the movie was too long as it was. It was only like 85 minutes, but it felt like they cut out about a good 25 minutes. And just the ideas that it tried to implement didn't work. Slingshot was just, I don't know what Lawrence Fishburne was thinking. It was another space movie. I think I hated it more than ISS, which is saying something. It was just obvious where it was going. And then it tried to throw a few things where like, oh, no, you think we're going this way, but actually it's this. And it just ended up becoming muddled.
Yep.
And The Deliverance. Glenn Close referred to a woman as having a nappy something or other, is all I'm going to say. It was a devil possession movie.
Okay.
Well, Glenn Close was possessed at this point. At least I assume that Glenn Close was possessed. Oh, she hadn't ad-libbed that line because, good Lord. Yeah, bad devil possession stuff. And let's see. Yeah, let's go to September, actually, now that I think about it.
Now go to September here. I'm going to merge it with October just so we'll get through them quicker.
Let's do that because I can brush through some of these other ones.
All right, let me see. Let me go to September here. All right, Beetlejuice, The Front Room. I'll be right there. The 4:30 movie, The Killer's Game, Speak No Evil. The Substance you mentioned. Never Let Go, Transformers 1. The Christopher Reeve story, the Superman movie. Bagman Lee, Megalopolis. I know that was your favorite movie of the year. The Wild Robot. Joker 2. I'm not even going to say the rest of it. It was just garbage. Monster Summer, White Bird. Piece by Piece, Saturday Night. Terrifier 3. Good Rich, Smile 2. Saw Unrated. That was obviously a re-release. Conclave and Venom, The Last Dance. So I saw a bunch of these. Some good, some fucking terrible. So give me some of your biggest, best, and worst ones from these 2 months.
All right, Something in the Water, Bad Shark movie, Cinderella's Revenge, Cinderella horror movie, an attempt to be a comedy. Wake, fuck if I remember what that is. Beetlejuice, I wanted to like more than I did.
Yeah, that seemed to be the general belief on it, yeah, from what I saw.
It looked great. I love Monica Bellucci. Italy's greatest export, in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna Ortega's very good. She was a perfect successor to Winona Ryder. Sets looked great. It didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
And people wonder why Jeffrey Jones, the dad, wasn't actually in the movie, but they referenced him. You know, because you saw it, right?
No, I actually didn't. But I know they had like an animation explaining how he died or something, right?
Yeah, kids, Google Jeffrey Jones from Beetlejuice and figure out why he's not in Hollywood anymore.
From Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He's got some reasons why he's not acting anymore. Yeah,
they're right around 2000. They're right around the mid 2000s, or early 2000s. Anyway, so yeah, Beetlejuice was. I wanted to like it more than I did. I just didn't end up liking it. The Front Room. I said, Brandy returned to acting for this. It was so bad, such a bad A24 effort. The Demon Disorder. Devil Possession of some kind. Janet Planet was a great A20 or a good A24 coming of age thing about a young girl and her mother set in somewhere in Massachusetts in 1991. Touch was really good. It was about a guy trying to reunite with his first love after his other wife died, before his dementia or anything, takes over. Really good stuff. I think it's on Peacock. Rebel Ridge was a really good Netflix action movie. Aaron Pierre has arrived. He was the voice, I believe, of Simba in Mufasa, if I remember right.
Yep.
My Old Ass was magnificent. Great performance by Aubrey Plaza and Elsa Stella, or Elise Stella, or Stella, I'll just say that. Made me cry, got to me. Starved Acre was about, parents trying to deal with the loss of their child. The Hangman, I don't know what that was. It definitely didn't involve anybody that, would have quantified as a hangman. Mm-hmm. I mean, people got hung in it, I guess. I hated the Speak No Evil remake.
Yeah, I actually liked that one. I didn't see the original, but I liked the one that came out this year, though. I specifically liked it for the performance, the main guy.
Well, yeah, James McAvoy is good. Aislinn Franciosi, however you say, Mackenzie Davis. Just my big thing about it is that the parents are idiots. And I just couldn't get past that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it was a satire, but it was what it was. Speak No Evil, though, I mean, performance-wise, it was pretty well done. My thing is, since I didn't really care for the original, it was unnecessary, and it meant 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
The Killer's Game. Jesus. I had something. I think it was on Tubi. Trying to remember. Uglies was on Netflix and had Joey King, and it was like if Divergent and the Hunger Games had all the personality taken out of them, because it was one of those dystopian future ones, but it was a book reduced to just the bare bones, and apparently it's one of 4 books. God help us. All You Need Is Death. All You Need Is Death. All You Need Is Death. This is all you need. It's oh yeah, that's right. It was a couple looking for ancient knowledge.
Okay.
It was an ancient song. All right, The Well had to do with a well that was haunted. Mother's Instinct. I mean, God damn it, you have freaking Jessica Chastain and Anne Hathaway, 60s aesthetic, and you managed to waste it. The Girl in the Pool. Freddie Prinze Jr. apparently must owe his soul to Satan because he keeps making bad movies. Monica Potter was in it. My God, they were in a good movie at one point. The Substance. Here you go. Give Demi Moore every goddamn award. Give Margaret Qualley every award. Give Coralie Farge, the director, every bit of money she wants for her next film. I loved it. Goddamn tremendous horror movie. Absolutely brilliant. Some people will not jive with it, but man, it is brilliant. It exceeded the hype for me.
Mm-hmm.
Love the Substance. Didn't love Never Let Go. Halle Berry making another bad career choice. His Three Daughters was really, really good. It's on Netflix. Natasha Lyonne stole the show, in my opinion. It was 3 daughters trying to come to grips with the fact their dad's going to die soon. Megalopolis. God, I hate you, Francis Ford Coppola. How dare you? How fucking dare you?
Yeah, I heard this was terrible.
Everything that you heard about this movie, yeah, it's actually worse.
Mm-hmm.
The Wild Robot, you love this even more than I did.
I did, yeah. This was my movie of the year, personally.
And nothing wrong with that. The only thing I had a problem with was the villain. I was like, there really isn't much of a villain in this.
Yeah, that's understandable.
But yeah, the bond between Roz and the duckling, I don't remember the bird's name. My God. But yeah, that was really good. And if they want to do a sequel, fuck, I'm on board.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. No, Wild Robot was actually really, really good. Azrael, Samara Weaving was in another horror movie. I can say that much. Apartment 7A. Hey, let's do a prequel to Rosemary's Baby and shove it out on Paramount Plus. And
yep.
Oh, okay. No, it wasn't good. Terrible tie-in to the original too. Amber Alert. Man, I remember when Hayden Panettiere seemed like she was going to be in good movies. It's
mm-hmm.
about an Amber Alert and her and a guy go and try and stop somebody that kidnapped a girl.
Yeah.
Killer Heat. Let's try to do a film noir thing with Joseph Gordon-Levitt and a few people and make it shit. Speaking of shit, Subservience. Hey, Megan Fox is playing an AI bot.
Mm-hmm.
So how is that? That's mean. It was terrible. I mean, she didn't have to really try acting because that's just how she normally is. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2. I mean, we just talked about it. It was what it was. They're doing a third one. They're doing a Peter Pan horror movie. I don't know if you heard that.
Yes, I heard about that one, yeah.
That's actually getting a limited release. I might actually go watch it. The Curse of the Necklace was such an abomination of a horror movie. It felt like it was plucked from the late 90s, early 2000s without any... It was so dark you couldn't see what was going on. And then when you could see what was going on, you're like, I apologize. Give me the darkness. I don't want to see what's happening anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not terrible. Salem's Lot, unnecessary remake that was shorter than the original miniseries, yet somehow managed to only tell 30% of the story.
Mm-hmm.
It was on Max. It was terrible. Hold Your Breath. You know, Sarah Paulson's making questionable choices. It was in the Dust Bowl in Oklahoma in the 1930s. Joker, Folie, Deux. I mean, come on. I mean, what the fuck? What can we say?
One of the worst movies of the year by far.
One of the worst movies of the decade. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga, who I am no big fan of, but she can sing. how did they make it to where I don't want to hear her sing?
Yeah, the music was not good either.
I mean, the Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, good guy. I mean, that movie cost a lot of money, and it sure didn't make it back.
Nope.
It's What's Inside was like it was on Netflix. It got attention on the film festival circuit. There's this device that can kind of switch people's personalities, and it's kind of like a guessing game thing.
Yeah.
And it sounds more interesting than it ended up being, unfortunately. I liked some of it, but I figured it out from the first 15 minutes. And when I was proven right, I go, yeah, this mind-bending stuff doesn't work. VHS Beyond. Yeah, let's just keep pumping out these anthology horror movies and only have one good tape in them. Mm-hmm. That was the first one. They're doing an 8th one coming up. The Platform 2. I like the first Platform. It's a prison. It's a lavish kitchen up top, and they lower a giant platform of food for a couple people in every single floor to eat. And the idea is you eat what you need, but don't eat all of it. And more people can get it, capitalism, all that stuff. The first one was better. The second one was just more of the same. We Live in Time. Well, fuck, I cried a bunch at this movie.
Yeah, no, you really liked this movie, didn't you? Yeah.
Yes, Andrew Garfield, Florence Pugh. That's almost unfair levels of chemistry and likability in a goddamn film. Yeah, I saw a special screen of this. I loved it. I praised it a lot. I was losing it in my review after I said I wasn't. But yeah, I saw a special screen of that, just loving it to death. Mm-hmm. It wasn't one of my absolute favorites of the year, no, but that's because there's been some really good stuff this year. I still praise it, though. House of Spoils, Ariana DeBose was a chef, and it didn't go anywhere. Curse of the Sin Eater, my God, what a shit fest that was. Parasite. This is an example of 4 friends getting together and a director getting $50 from, their savings and making a movie. That's the only way I can describe it. That's how bad this was.
Wow.
It was, good God. Caddo Lake. M. Night Shyamalan did producing for this, a twisty, mind-bendy bullshit flick on Max. Blackwater Lane. I don't know what Dermot Mulroney is doing. I think he was in that. Blackwater Lane. Blackwater. Let's try this. Blackwater Lane. Yep, Dermot Mulroney. I don't know what he was doing in this, because he's a pretty good actor. But yeah, it was one of those whodunit films, even though you can figure out who did it. Saturday Night, you saw that.
Yeah, I actually liked that movie.
It was decent. I mean, I'm not going to say necessarily that, I love the guy that played Chevy Chase. I mean, my God, if you see Chevy Chase and you see this, it's amazing. It's amazing how much he looks like Chevy Chase. Mm-hmm. But I love Rachel Sennett, who was, Lorne Michaels' significant other in this. I thought it was okay. But I thought that the cast did a pretty good job. Terrifier 3 was the most surprising movie because I hated the second one. You know I hated the second one.
Yeah.
I loved this. I thought it was a perfect balance of comedy and horror. The opening reminded me of the Benoit household in June of 2007. My God, will I ever stop referencing that? But Terrifier 3 was great stuff. Not totally perfect. Lauren Rivera is magnificent. I really, really like Terrifier 3. Mr. Crockett was like a TV kids host that was evil. It's on Hulu. It's okay. Daddy's Head was the one I was thinking of. They had some guy, wearing a mask trying to pretend to be somebody's dad to lure a kid away. It wasn't very good. Red Rooms over there. It had to do with people loving a serial killer a little bit too much and getting deep into the dark web, and you think that sounds bad, but no, Red Rooms is really, really good. One of my biggest surprises of the year, Deer Camp 86 was a silly slasher that ended up stumbling. All My Friends Are Dead. Whoever JoJo Siwa is, apparently she's popular with the kids. She was in it, but it was some weird slasher influencer thing. The King Tide, like some ancient lore thing said on an island, it was okay. I didn't like Mile 2 as much as I thought I would. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually really liked it. We were surprised that you didn't like it because the original I thought was good. I thought this one was even better. What about it didn't you like?
I liked Naomi Scott in it.
Yeah, she did a great job, yeah.
She did. It does not hurt, by the way, that she's incredibly attractive, but she's also, she did the vocals. She can sing. I like what she provided. My problem is once they introduced a particular character, and you know what character I'm talking about, I knew where the story was going. And I felt while there were some scenes that were okay, there were some other scenes that were goofy, and a lot of it felt like a retread of the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally get why people like this one more than the second, or than the first. I love the opening. I thought the opening was pretty good, too.
Yeah.
It just felt like, I don't know, it just felt like it should have been more than it was. But they're probably going to do a third one because it was successful.
Yeah, definitely.
Bagman. This is the fourth bag-related horror movie that I've done. God damn it, there's been so many repetitive things. Yeah, Bagman was about, like, you know, somebody that targets kids and stuffs them in his bag. I know. Yeah, it wasn't very good. I ended up watching it on streaming. I think I paid a few bucks for it and I go, fuck it. Mads was a spin on the zombie movie. The Zombie Infected. It was French. Pretty good. Had really, really good camera work. It was found footage-like. So Shudder, Woman of the Hour, Anna Kendrick's debut. As far as her, you know, directorial, it was about a serial killer in the 70s. It bounced around a little bit too much and was uneven, but well performed. A Sacrifice. Yeah, I'd sure love to tell you what that's about, but I just don't care. And Your Monster, Melissa Barrera, and a guy that was a monster lived in her closet when she was younger. And it's a silly comedy, horror, romance thing that actually was pretty good. Mystery movie edition, and I enjoyed it. Carved was about a killer pumpkin. It's on Hulu, and
that's
boy,
awful.
I made it sound more interesting than it actually was. Should have worked. Canary Black. What is Kate Beckinsale doing in movies this bad? I just don't get it. It was a bad spy assassin thing. She looks great. She looks fucking incredible. But the movie wasn't. The movie was so basic. And Conclave is one that you finished off with. Conclave was actually really, really good. I thought Ralph Fiennes was great. Stanley Tucci was great. Isabella Rossellini was great. I can see why people won't jive with the third act twist. But I thought it was incredibly well performed. I think it's on Peacock.
Okay. Yeah, I think it just got added, yeah.
Yeah, Conclave was really, really entertaining. There's a couple more for October, and then we'll get to the rest. Don't Move. That was the one about a guy that injects a paralyzing agent into a girl because he's going to kill her, but then she somehow manages to try to hide. And it sounded better in thought than in execution. Don't Turn Out the Lights. People take an RV somewhere, and then they go on a bad road, a road that's haunted, I think. The Beast Within. Kit something or other, the guy that was in Game of Thrones, he plays a guy turning into a werewolf. And What You Wish For, yeah, Beast Within wasn't good. What You Wish For had to do with a guy becoming a chef in a country to escape some gambling debts and finds out that this job is not all it's cracked up to be. And Time Cut. Well, Totally Killer did it first and did it better. There we go. Let's go on to November.
Well, let's see what November started off with. Absolution, Here, Juror 2, Best Christmas Pageant Ever, Elevation, Heretic, how do you pronounce that? Heretic. Weekend into Pie, Ghost Cat, Anzu, Red 1, Gladiator 2, Wicked Part 1, Moana 2, Night Bitch, The Order, The Return, Werewolves, I'm just going into December too, Y2K, Craven the Hunter, that Lord of the Rings movie that came out, Mufasa, Sonic, Baby Girl, A Complete Unknown, The Fire Inside, and Nosferatu. So I know a lot of those you saw, John, so give me your rundown. I saw a bunch of these as well. Which ones did you see, and which ones did you like, and not like?
Well, The Girl Who Cried Her Eyes Out wasn't very good. That was a streaming film. That might have been the one where they were... No, that was one where they were in the woods, and it was like 5 friends just got together and made a movie. One that I love was Honora. Mikey Madison deserves every offer that she gets.
Yeah, I know you really like that movie, yeah.
That, from beginning to end, that ending shot will stick with me for the rest of my life. Because it was really well performed, too. And a great amount of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Neon Studios knocked it out of the park. I'm so glad I paid extra to go watch it early. And she was just fucking tremendous. Marmalade was a comedy, like, spy thing where it didn't really work. I think they tried to make it a comedy action, and half the comedy only worked half the time of that. Lazarus, I don't know what Ashley Judd did, but apparently the deal she made to keep her film career going was a bad one. Somewhere Quiet, it was okay. It was an isolation horror type film. Prom Dates was pretty good, all things considered. Decent enough comedy with some touching moments. Bad Connection was the one I was thinking of, where the killer's cell phone ends up in a person's hands because they need a cell phone, and then they're hunted by this person, and it goes places without going anywhere. Amp House Massacre. Why do I keep watching influencer horror movies? Yeah, I don't really... It had a cool mask. Camptown Manor. That also featured that guy that was in Here for Blood. It wasn't very good, though. Murmur. Yeah, there was barely a murmur. Memoir of a Snail, I fucking love. Great claymation, stop-motion animation about a girl recounting her life, and a very touching bit about family. It was like 85 minutes. It was really good. Mm-hmm. Really good. One of my favorite films of the year. Heretic, Chloe East was the standout because it's about 2 missionaries, her, Sophie Thatcher. Chloe East was the standout there, even though Sophie Thatcher is really good. And what's his name? Hugh Grant. Hugh Grant was absolutely smashing it in that. It does try to both sides, the whole religious thing, but I thought Heretic worked. Elevation was dog shit, utter dog shit. Felt like a streaming movie put in theaters. Black Cab had Nick Frost from Shaun of the Dead. Not really all that good because it was obvious where it was going. Mm-hmm. Red One. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. What do you think of Red One?
I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was, but it was not, in retrospect, not very good. Especially not a movie I'd go back and watch again. Let's put it that way. Certainly not a Christmas classic.
I mean, all those delays, and they got that movie. And, we can put this movie in IMAX. The fuck you can, Rock. Gee, Dwayne, go back to building your career back up. Red One and like Hot Frosty, Lacey Chabert brings a guy to life who's a snowman.
Yeah.
That's it. Dead Whisper, fuck if I remember. Obviously Dead Whisper I think had to do with a guy that wanted to get his daughter back, but then went to a mysterious island. Ghost Cat Anzu, very, very much for anime aficionados, is about a cat that can speak, and a cat that's like an assistant to this old guy, and the granddaughter and the cat bond, but it's not very good. It's all right. Emilia Perez got a lot of praise. I saw some of it. I thought there was enough good. The musical, Zoe Saldana did one in a dinner scene that I would have folded like a sheet in seconds, but I thought it did enough good with the musical and with the trans story, but it felt like it tried to go too many places and took a hard left when it didn't need to. Mm-hmm. Nightman, bad Irish horror about... Shit, if I remember. I think a mother was trying to protect her kid. Bird was really, really good. Barry Keoghan, who was in Saltburn, he's going to get married to a new woman. His daughter, Nicola Adams, I think is her name. Magnificent. Great performance. Great coming-of-age stuff. Really need to pay attention to the accents, though. But yeah, Bird was really, really tremendous. I Used to Be Funny. Rachel Sennett delivers a great layered performance in this, even if it has a couple issues. I did not like Gladiator 2 at all.
Yeah, no, I know you mentioned that earlier before we hit record. Yeah, I was surprised about it. Oh, not overly surprised, but I know it got good reviews, though.
Connie Nielsen looks great. Paul Mescal's great. Denzel Washington is having a blast in it. Pedro Pascal does a good job. I just feel like it tried to be too much fan servicey, and I don't think worked. I think for anything that did work, it ended up kind of blowing up in his face. A Real Pain was really, really good. Fun fact, this was the movie I saw the same day as Wicked, that I'll get to in a second, and that was when the power got knocked out here, for 600,000 people on our side of the state.
Wow.
And because of a windstorm, and our power was back on within 20 hours, actually. But A Real Pain has to do with two guys, Kieran Culkin,
yeah,
and Jesse Eisenberg, who directed and produced it, and they go to another country to honor their late grandmother, who was a Holocaust survivor.
Mm-hmm.
Has a couple issues, but acting-wise, absolutely tremendous. Wicked, I didn't love, but I liked. You haven't seen it.
Not yet, no, but I know it was obviously very well received.
Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, I think is how you say it, their chemistry carried it. Michelle Yeoh wasn't given enough to do, same with Jeff Goldblum. Musical numbers are good, to an extent. Defying Gravity, there's one I've seen. Britain's Got Talent. You gotta look it up. It's this little girl, I think she's 11, and she does this rendition that absolutely brings the house down.
Mm-hmm.
But no, good singing. I mean, I don't know why they needed to make it 2 hours and 40 minutes for part one, but it was what it was. The Death That Awaits, it certainly awaits somebody. Rita, has to do with a real-life situation about a bunch of girls that got killed in a terrible thing in Venezuela, I want to say, but pretty good horror movie. Joy had to do with the first ever test tube baby. Thomas Mackenzie's in it, who was in Eileen, and also Last Night in Soho. That's on Netflix. The Piano Lesson's also on Netflix. Well done, well acted. Couple issues with it since it's more of a play on film. Spellbound wasn't a very good kids Netflix movie. GT Max was a French flick that had to do with bikes and little else.
Mm-hmm.
Moana 2 I did not like. Did you see it?
Yeah, I liked it, but it was definitely unnecessary. It was, first one was better. Needless to say.
It felt like they probably should have just stuck with it being a series.
Yeah.
But then again, it's made a lot of money at the box office, so what do we know?
Yeah, yep.
Made a ton. Girl Haunts Boy. A girl suffers gets hit by a car and is locked in a house, ghost-wise, and must do something to basically, move on into the afterlife. Pretty moving, actually, shockingly. Pretty well done. It's on Netflix, I believe. Light. Two people are in some kind of 50-foot space wandering around on some mysterious planet while a creature looks for them. Terrible. Our Little Secret is on Netflix. That was the Lindsay Lohan Christmas one. Wasn't very good. Neither was Dear Santa on Paramount Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Black played Satan because the kid couldn't spell, because dyslexia is funny, I guess. Sweethearts. I don't know why in the world this exists. It was a bad attempt at a gross-out comedy that didn't work. The Shadow Strays was a pretty damn good, Indonesian horror movie? Or no, Indonesian action movie with some really great stunts and some really great fights. Bit long. I think it threw way too much in at the end, but yeah. Out Come the Wolves, another wolf movie where a hunting trip goes wrong. The Order, that was one you mentioned. White supremacists in the early 80s in the Pacific Northwest, specifically Idaho, which makes sense if you know anything about Idaho. Jude Law was good. Nicholas Hoult was pretty good. It wasn't perfect, but I enjoyed it. I'm glad I sat down and watched it. I don't know how historically accurate it was. The Abyss. No, not the James Cameron version, but something that has to do with a cave collapsing or a mine collapsing. It's like they had to move the city like they moved Springfield in that one Simpsons episode, but they didn't move it far enough. Lonely Planet was, Laura Dern and Chris Hemsworth, and I don't know why they made this movie when it was one of those cougar romances that didn't work. Ganymede. You'd have to look up that name. Somebody would have to look up that name. Basically, it's like Greek and everything. It's like it's like, Zeus, ties into Zeus and stuff like that. But it was a boy that was gay that wanted to come out to his parents, but they were very conservative because it's set in the South. It was okay.
Mm-hmm.
Flow, I loved. There was a cat, a capybara, a dog, and it was an animated movie about animals trying to survive a flood. And it gave me anxiety because I love cats. Don't worry, folks, the pets are fine, but just good God. Beautifully animated, though. Beautifully animated. Great movie. Y2K, A24 fucked that one up.
Yeah, I haven't
really
seen
badly. Yeah, it wasn't very good. And I like Rachel Zegler, but it wasn't good. Werewolves, I hated. It was like a sci-fi movie from the late 2000s, put in theaters. Getaway had Nick Frost going with his friend or with his family to a mysterious island that had a weird cult. But yeah, Werewolves was terrible, but The Outrun, Saoirse Ronan was tremendous as a recovering alcoholic. A couple things in the movie were a little uneven. The Primevals was a movie that was actually made mostly back in the 90s, but it got put on the back burner because of funding issues and whatever, and finally got done because of a Kickstarter. And one of the original special effects people that did the stop-motion animation. So it's about explorers to find a mountain or to find the mysterious Yeti and then go up on a mountain and then find this mysterious world. It was like a throwback to those like 50s and 60s sci-fi movies, except done badly.
Mm-hmm.
September 5 was about the ABC News coverage of Munich, Germany. Yeah, during the Olympics. It was good, well performed, wasn't perfect. And I know you mentioned It Ends With Us a while ago. I didn't watch it until it hit Netflix. Look, I don't know what did or didn't happen with Blake Lively and Justin Bartow. I don't care, okay? I hope justice is brought to anybody that did anything wrong. As a movie, everybody deserves to be freaking ridiculed for that because it was terrible. It Ends With Us is one of the worst movies of the goddamn year.
Wow.
Horrendous. It deals with, God damn it, you're going to deal with domestic violence and do this shit. It felt so terrible. It felt so terrible on the surface of it and then somehow got worse.
Mm-hmm.
And Blake Lively, I mean, I'm sorry, but, her acting star has faded because she's maybe not as good as I thought she was. And the director, who was also the star, the co-star with her, he's terrible too. Last Night on Earth. People just want to live their last night on Earth before a meteor hits, and other people have another idea. I don't know why in the world any of this happened, because the world's going to end, so why would you do any of this? Kraven the Hunter. Did you see that?
Not good.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Thankfully, the end of the Sony Spider-Man type movies, that with the spin-off nonsense, thankfully.
Thank fucking God. Well, Ariana DeBose again, another bad movie. And Aaron Taylor Johnson. I mean, he's an adequate actor, but I tell people, I don't care for him necessarily because I think he's tried to justify the behavior of a particular loved one a little bit too much. Those who want to, I'm not saying you need to. Google Nowhere Boy. He was in that.
Mm-hmm.
He's with the director now.
Interesting.
Aaron Taylor Johnson was 18 when that movie was done. And guess what the director was? Far older than that. Yeah, whatever. That's preyed upon stuff. But no, in all seriousness, Kraven the Hunter, terrible special. They leaned into the violence, I'll say that much. But
yeah,
you had like the guy who could take his glasses off and hypnotize people. I forget what they call his character.
Yeah, that guy sucked too.
Well, I mean, the guy's a good actor, but it's just, good God, the character was terrible.
Yeah.
I think Madam Web is still worse, but that's not saying much.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim. I wanted to like this. I liked it as far as the animation style, but it was unnecessary. It was overly long. The girl that voiced Hera, the lead, the redhead in the trailer, is actually Emma Thompson's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few cool moments, but it wasn't great. Carry On. You didn't see the Lord of the Rings movie, right?
No, I didn't see either of those. No.
Yeah. Carry On was like if you took Die Hard 2 and made it about the TSA agents, except only worse. The Fire Inside was based on the real-life story of the first female boxer to win back-to-back gold medals. And don't get me wrong, inspirational. Ryan Destiny, who played the girl, and Brian Tyree Henry, I think is how you say his name, he was good. There were two good performances, but the thing is, this was such a stock standard sports drama that it was a mystery movie, and I watched it. I had nothing better to do, but it wasn't great. A Different Man. Sebastian Stan gets his chance to not be a disfigured actor, but then suddenly somebody shows up with the Elephant Man thing. And somebody actually shows up with that particular disfigurement for real, and he's so confident in himself and everything, and it's more like, oh, what did you lose? What did you really gain by doing that? There were some good social commentary things, but I thought A Different Man was a little uneven. Am I Okay was actually pretty good. Dakota Johnson was in that. She made up for Madam Web, though this movie was like it sat on the back burner for a while. It's about friends coming together even as they're drifting apart. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 was very good. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I like that one too.
I was very surprised by the emotional punch that they had with Shadow. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. That was good development there. Yeah.
Mufasa the Lion King, I hated it. I hated it so much.
I know. I saw your review.
And I'll just bunch these three here, or these four. Carnage for Christmas, T-Blockers, and Satanic Panic were all done by, they were queer LGBTQ-themed movies set in Australia. And they involved some of the same people, and they all had different plots, kind of, but not really. They were all okay. Last Straw took place at a diner. It was like if All the Boys Love Mandy Lane took place at an even cheaper location where nobody was worth rooting for. That one wasn't good at all. Nosferatu looked great. And that movie needed Anya Taylor-Joy because Lily Rose Depp did okay. I don't see the praise for her performance. Bill Skarsgård was great as Orlok. Mm-hmm. And Nicholas Hoult was great in that. Willem Dafoe was great. But the thing is the movie is overly long and just told you the same stuff that you knew. Yeah. Baby Girl was the last movie I saw of the year. And despite the fact that the Kinks are not for me at all, and I don't understand why they would be for anybody, however you get down is your business. Somebody pointed out in the review, this is the second Von Erich brother that Nicole Kidman has gotten with. First was Zac Efron, and now is Harris Dickinson, who played David Von Erich. Yeah, and they said go get the other one, or get Jeremy Allen White. Somebody said do it for the plot, and I don't know why that made me laugh. But Baby Girl was pretty good. It had some laugh out loud moments. I really had some fun with it. I bookended it by watching Nosferatu on Christmas morning, coming home, reviewing it, going to work for a few hours, leaving early, and going to watch Baby Girl.
Perfect.
I had a lot of fun with it. That's it, though. And I mean, and that was about it for your stuff, because the last one you watched from this year was Mufasa the Lion King.
Yeah, and I saw that on January 1st, but obviously I'm bunching that into 2024.
Oh, sure.
Came out last year.
I was going to watch Juror number 2 and a couple other things and everything, and and bunch them in, but then I thought, God, guys, 300. I rushed through a lot of those guys, and we're still talking about this.
Well, on that note, we'll end it with this. I know you mentioned it during the course of us going down each of the movies here, but give me your best movie, and obviously you have your own list on your channel, which we'll plug here in a second as we wind down.
Sure.
Give me your best/favorite movie of the year and your least favorite of all the ones you mentioned.
I mean, the best one's The Substance.
Mm-hmm.
It was Challengers or The Substance. no movie affected me more, jarred me more, got me more than The Substance from beginning to goddamn end.
Mm-hmm.
Demi Moore gave the performance of her life. She was so good in this. I fucking loved what she did, and I thought she was tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely captivating. The Substance is my favorite by far. Challengers is a close second, and I will shout Love Lies Bleeding. I will say this. Taste of Things number 5, Love Lies Bleeding number 4, Honora number 3, Challengers number 2, The Substance number 1.
Okay.
Furiosa made it on the top 10. I'm shocked, even though it was good. And worst, I'll go number 5, The Mousetrap. Number 4, Joker, Folie, Deux. Number 3, Strangers Chapter 1. Number 2, Divorce in the Black. And number 1, Megalopolis.
Yeah.
There is nothing about Megalopolis. They made a sex scene with Aubrey Plaza undesirable to watch. How in the world can a director pull that off?
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that I will never understand that, because Aubrey Plaza looks tremendous. She's hilarious. She looks great. But that would be it. What about yours?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have a top 4 or top 3, top 5 for each of them, but Wild Robot ranks up there for me as far as the best. Deadpool Wolverine, I know you said you didn't watch that one, but that one's up there for me as well. Honestly, I can name more bad ones this year. Usually it's the other way around, but like Trap was terrible.
Yeah.
Dune wasn't like top 3, but I didn't like Dune. Argyle was not good. Joker is definitely, I think Trap was my 1, but Joker's 2. Joker was fucking atrocious. That was just an embarrassment. So I think I saw more bad movies this year than I did see. I mean, I saw a lot of good movies, but at the same time, I mean, I think there were a lot of bad ones as well that stood out more, maybe just because they were worse. I'm not sure, but yeah, those would be some of my top ones as well.
Yeah, and I mean, and the thing is, I'll just tell you quickly, for best movie of the decade is The Substance, and worst is Megalopolis.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's The Substance. I don't know, because not a lot of people have that streaming service movie or my movie. Yeah, it's on. It's a weird streaming service. But if you can rent on Amazon, don't eat before you watch it. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Do not eat before you watch it.
Okay.
But yeah, it's great. It's just great shit. But it's been quite the year for movies. I mean, I very much doubt I will do 336 for 2025, but since I'm cutting down on wrestling, who knows? I mean, there's so many movies coming out. I'm not going to do 400, dear God.
Kill yourself.
Well, I cut down on the videos I did last year, and I still did almost 700.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, you'll be at 500 at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, 500. Well, if I do 500 movies, it's probably going to be when I'm just reviewing them on Letterboxd and I don't have to record any.
Yeah, that's true. It saves
videos.
a lot of time. That's true.
2024, there was good stuff. There was really good stuff, but the thing is there were so many disappointing. Like you watch more bad movies. I have 200 F grades this year.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, as we talked about earlier, a lot of 0.5s, which people can obviously check out on your Letterboxd, which, one more time, where can people find you on Letterboxd, John, as well as on YouTube and on Twitter /Blue Sky?
Well, yeah, Reborn43, REBOURNE 43 on Letterboxd. Reborn, again, .bsky.social if you want to find me on Blue Sky. Twitter, Reborn again. YouTube, Real Honesty with Jonn Ritland. I mean, again, you can just go to my Twitter and you could just click the link. It'll be right there. And yeah, this is probably the last full-time year for me on YouTube just because of exhaustion. But don't get me wrong, Letterboxd is still going to be flooded with stuff because it's a lot easier to write shit out than it is to do videos. But it's been an incredible ride as far as movies. Like over 1,000 that I've seen this decade already, just released in the respective years. If I take retro reviews, I'm probably at about 1,200 movies that I've seen.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Stuff that I've rewatched.
Yeah. Plenty more to go. We'll see where. What'd you say?
It's been a lot of fun. Like, recounting this stuff. But some of that stuff I couldn't even remember because all the movies blend together.
Yeah. I mean, quantity over quality sometimes, right?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty certain I'll probably be at least 300 again this year. But hopefully maybe I make some better choices on streaming because some of these horror movies, you have to like almost skip through some of the slow parts at 2 times speed.
Yeah.
Or you will go nuts.
Jeez.
But yeah, the highs were great, the lows were low, but it's always been fun because it's been fun doing this the past few years. And it's great because we have differing opinions on movies, but that's a nice thing because, guys, people can disagree on things and still talk to each other, as far as movies and stuff like that. You don't need to let your opinions of media dominate who you talk to. Unless somebody says that Megalopolis is really good and then burn them in effigy.
This might have been the last show that we did if one of us had said that was the best movie of the year, but thankfully we're not at that. I haven't seen it, but I'm not going to because I heard it was bad. So
I will say this: if you do end up watching, if you and Alexis end up watching it, watch it with the mindset that you're just going to have to laugh at it, but don't pay for it.
Yeah, for
if
sure.
It's on one of the streaming services that you watch, and you want to just mock it, and it's a 2-hour movie or just about, but God, it feels like at least an hour longer. It's terrible. But yeah, that's where awful. You guys can find me. I mean, make sure you listen to a bunch of Graham stuff, and then you can, after you check this out, and this, my God, we said we were going to rush through this, and look how long we've talked.
Yeah, it's just increasingly longer every year, just with the more movies that we've seen, but that's just the way that it goes. But it's always a pleasure talking to you, John. Thanks for coming on. As always, I appreciate it. People can check out your stuff, as you said, on all the various platforms. And keep up the great work, my man. I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Oh, man, we're going to keep talking on social media. On the phone at some point, probably, but definitely on social media. But, yeah, check out Graham's shit. Check out my shit afterwards. And, yeah, guys, regardless of how long I'm on YouTube after 2025, I'm still going to keep posting on Letterboxd until I pretty much drop. And that ain't going to be for another number of decades, guys.
It better be. Hey, John, thanks a lot, man. I always appreciate it. Keep up the great stuff. And, yeah, we'll talk on socials very soon.
Absolutely, man. You
See
take care.
Man. Have a great weekend. Take care.